Chapter 47-43. All sorts of doubts appeared in his mind. Zichen walked very slowly with many thoughts in his mind. Zhong Hao was beside him, but he didn't say anything. What exactly happened back then? After a long time, Zichen turned around and asked. Chung Ho said, "It's very simple. Gods and demons invaded, and their auras were vast and mighty. Everyone wanted to repel the gods and demons. There were no demons back then? No. Then what were the stronger sacred venerables called? They were still called sacred venerables. Only the famous sacred venerables could rally hundreds with a single call. You came to this strange world once. What did you discover back then?" "I didn't discover anything. I just stopped in a hurry and left. Back then, there were no demons, no kings, and no reverend kings. It's impossible that they didn't exist. They have always existed. Then, you didn't encounter them." Zichen suddenly thought of Mai Ji. It was because she opened the door that Zichen and the others could enter. Could it be that Mai Ji did not open the door for them back then? However, these sacred venerables did not go through Mai Ji when they entered this time and directly arrived here. At the same time, Zichen thought of the dead insect king. He had clamored about coming to Paradise Kingdom, but this place was not called Paradise Kingdom. Did he not know about the changes in this world, or was he used to the way he used to be called? All sorts of doubts filled Zichen's mind. Looking at the pondering Zichen, Chung Ho suddenly said, "Perhaps you knew something back then, but with his unexpected death, you forgot everything. Why don't you sleep and see if there are any hints in your dreams?" "Hints, my ass. Do you want me to die?" Zichen said unhappily. "How can you say that? If that sacred venerate Zichen returns, do you think I'll still be me?" "Of course. That's your memories from your previous life. After awakening, you're still you. Furthermore, you know even more. Then what if I become a part of those memories?" Zichen glared at Chung Ho before walking forward. Chung Ho muttered, "There's not much difference. Anyway, they're all very annoying." Zichen arrived at the second floor, which looked no different from the first floor. It was all black as far as the eye could see, and its aura was more oppressive than the first floor. As soon as he entered this level, Zichen sensed the presence of others. The other party also saw Zichen and was slightly startled. Then, he turned around and ran. Shua. Zichen's figure disappeared and appeared in front of the evil demon in the next moment. He stopped the Ji Shan demon. "Why are you running?" The Ji Shan demon said, "I'm not running away. I'm going to look for opportunities. Fortuitous opportunities aside, meeting me is the end of your path." Zichen extended his finger and pointed at the Ji Shan demon. At this moment, an item suddenly appeared in the Ji Shan demon's hand. It was a piece of bamboo leaf that shone with a sparkling light. He seemed to want to crush the bamboo leaf. Puff! Zichen's fingertip arrived in advance and forcibly extinguished the Ji Shan demon's vitality. At this moment, Chung Ho had just appeared on this floor. When he saw the dead Ji Shan demon, his expression changed slightly. Zichen caught the falling leaf and ignored the Ji Shan demon's corpse. He looked at it carefully. "What's this?" "Something to transmit information." A cold voice sounded beside Zichen. Zichen turned around and saw Mai Yin. He was surprised. "Why are you here? Is there a rule that says I can't come here?" The other party's attitude was very rude, but since she had saved him twice, Zichen did not mind. "No, what I mean is, why did you suddenly appear and why couldn't I sense you?" The current Zichen had refined the complete origin of the laws. His perception was many times stronger, and he could sense through the laws of heaven and earth. Of course, he was very sensitive. Mai Yin said, "If I didn't have this hidden method, how could I have survived until now?" Zichen blew at the Ji Shan demon's corpse. The Ji Shan demon's corpse was decomposed, leaving behind the jade bones. "I've always been curious. Why did you come to this strange world? Why did you kill those Ji Shan demons?" "If I didn't kill them, they would have killed me." Mai Yin said, "Those Ji Shan demons were just incidental. My real goal was to kill those kings." "Kill kings? You have the strength to do so?" Zichen was a little surprised. Originally, He could not see through my yin. However, with his current strength, he had a basic understanding of my yin's combat strength. No, that's why I came to find you. I now understand why Mother asked me to come with you. My yin said, you've improved very quickly. Now that you have the strength to kill a king, we can definitely succeed if we work together. Aren't you overestimating me? At most, I'm just protecting myself. Zichen laughed in spite of himself when he heard that. Last time, I was almost killed. My yin nodded. I know. Actually, if you had held on a little longer, it might have been the one to die. Why? You were there that day too? Zichen was surprised. I was looking for an opportunity. Unfortunately, you were too cautious. Thinking back to that day, my yin still felt regretful. Back to the previous topic. If you don't have the strength to kill a king, the king will kill you. Just like how they captured me to threaten my mother, they will kill you for your origin of the laws. Didn't you want to know what this bamboo leaf is for? It's used for communication. It comes from the bamboo house in the Gaduan kingdom. It's a subordinate of King Gaduan, and it's here to keep an eye on you. During this period, that bastard Gaduan has been looking for you for a long time, but he couldn't find you. So, he guessed that you might not have come in, so he sent someone to keep watch here. When they see you, they will send a message. At that time, that bastard Gaduan will come in person. Zichen nodded and said, so that's how it is. Just as well, I was planning to compete with him. During this time, Zichen looked at my yin with a strange expression. This was because a bird was calling a king a beast in front of him. It was quite strange. Suddenly, Zichen thought of something. Back then, my ji saved him, and my yin followed him here. After that, he received some help and obtained a portion of the origin of the laws, and finally embarked on the path of plunder. Was this a coincidence, or did my ji predict it? What's the situation on this floor? Zichen shook his head. There was no point in asking for the truth now. Chapter 47-44. He didn't need to guess to know that the one who had spoken was the existence suppressed on the second floor. To be able to suppress that ruler on this floor, it definitely wasn't an ordinary monkey. Zichen said, come, let's go take a look. Perhaps they would find something else this time. Along the way, Zichen saw a few monkeys. Strictly speaking, they couldn't be considered monkeys. They were a type of ape, similar to devil apes. They didn't have scales, and they had scarlet hair. Their eyes were blood red, and from a distance, they looked like scarlet flames. Their power was shocking, and their physical bodies were stronger than the pythons on the first floor. After killing them, they would also be able to obtain a golden nidon of a slightly higher grade. As they advanced, Zichen worked hard to gather as much as he could for everyone. Other than Tyrant and the others, he still had the martial heaven continent. There were many trustworthy people there. Chung Ho followed behind them, intentionally keeping a distance from Zichen. It seemed like he didn't want to hear the conversation between Zichen and my yin. But in truth, it was possible that he was on guard against danger. Let me give you a word of advice. Gaduan should be fully prepared to kill you this time. Don't be careless. If something uncontrollable happens, I'll just leave. After all, if you miss an opportunity, it might appear again. But if you lose your life, you won't be able to seize any opportunities. Zichen nodded, indicating that he understood. My yin flew over to Zichen. Seeing Zichen's calm expression, she was puzzled. You seem very confident. I wouldn't dare say I'm confident, but I can at least guarantee that I won't die. Zichen chuckled. No matter what, this is a law origin I obtained through many battles. It can't be so useless. Furthermore, isn't this the result your mother wanted to see? My yin shook her head. I don't know. In any case, I want those kings dead. Clearly, my yin didn't hear the probing in Zichen's words. She was very pure, and everything was based on her personal preferences. So Zichen didn't beat around the bush. He directly asked, why do you insist on killing those kings? You don't have any grudges, do you? My yin glanced around cautiously while Chung Ho tactfully put some distance between them. Then, my yin chose to send a voice transmission into his ear. Because there are more and more kings, The area they control is getting bigger and bigger. The outside won't be able to hold on much longer, so I came in this time to kill some of them and reduce the pressure on the outside. You've seen Dan Xiang. She's one of the protectors inside. In her own territory, she can contend against a king in a one-on-one battle. In addition to faint fragrance, the trees were also protectors. However, they could only restrain the kings inside, they couldn't kill them. On the other hand, the Tao protectors created by the kings will slowly eat away at them. This made Zi Chen think of zoos. Once the animals in there developed infinitely, multiplied and grew stronger, there would be a day when the door could no longer be guarded. It seemed that the growth of those kings had affected the operation of the rules of this world. Now that Mai Yin was no longer hostile to him, she told him everything she knew. She even told him a secret like this. Zi Chen asked telepathically, if that's the case, why don't you let them leave? No, you can't. Mai Yin anxiously replied, Mother said that none of the beings in here are easy to deal with. If they leave, it will be a great disaster. Looking at Zi Chen's indifferent expression, Mai Yin continued, believe me, it's true. Mother said that if you let them leave with you, your world will definitely suffer a destructive impact. You might even be destroyed because of it. Last time, when you were found by Geduan, weren't you worried that he would work with the other kings to deal with you? That's useless, because when we came here, Mother already told me to be prepared. Once I'm caught, I should find an opportunity to escape. If I can't escape, I should be prepared to die. She won't compromise. You agreed. Of course. How else could I come in? Zi Chen gave Mai Yin a look of admiration. I can't stay here for long. Just follow this path and you'll find that monkey. It has a very bad temper and will scold anyone who gets close. Be careful, don't get too close. After saying that, Mai Yin disappeared. During this time, Zi Chen kept his senses spread out, but he didn't find any trace of Mai Yin. It was as if she had really disappeared. Zi Chen knew that Mai Yin was watching him from afar. She hadn't gone far. Through their conversations along the way, Zi Chen gained a new understanding of Mai Yin's personality. She had already prepared herself for death before coming here. This was not something an ordinary person could do, and he was filled with admiration for her. After Mai Yin disappeared, Chung Ho still didn't go forward. Zi Chen didn't hide himself. So when he discovered the first wave of demons, they also saw him. Then, those demons quickly left. Zi Chen knew that it wouldn't be long before the news of him appearing on this level spread. So he sped up. He stopped killing the monkeys he encountered along the way. Chung Ho also sped up. He wasn't worried about Zi Chen's safety, but he was afraid that he would be alone and be killed by others. After all, in this place, except for Zi Chen, almost everyone was an enemy. In Zi Chen's vision, a mountain range appeared. He released his senses and found something strange in the mountains. Under a tall black mountain peak, there was a monkey. The monkey was looking around with its head tilted. It shouted at the top of its voice, "Is anyone coming out to be scolded? Hurry up and come out. I'm in a good mood today. I'll be merciful." It heard footsteps and looked beyond the mountain. Zi Chen walked up step by step and appeared in its vision. The monkey's eyes lit up. Everyone else was scared away by me. I didn't expect to see a hothead. Kid, come here and let me scold you. I'll feel good. Zi Chen said calmly, then you'll be at a disadvantage. That snake down there scolds others like it's a grandfather, but you're a father. You'll be one generation lower. You're talking about B.A. Shou. That bastard is still alive. The monkey stared at Zi Chen with red eyes. Not only is it alive, it's living quite well. Zi Chen continued, and it said that Ji Shan will definitely return. It has always believed it. King Bulsh T. Ji Shan is long dead. Otherwise, why wouldn't he return? The monkey roared angrily. It said that it might have been delayed by something in the immortal spells world. It should be back soon. That fool is really childish. If Ji Shan really entered the immortal spells world, would it be so easy for him to return? What kind of existences live there? It would be strange if he wasn't killed. Suddenly, the monkey came to a realization. It stared at Zi Chen. Kid, you dare to scheme against me? Zichen turned around and looked into the distance. Someone appeared. The leader was Gaduan King. Chapter 47-45. Monkey also heard the commotion in the distance, so he did not continue to pursue this matter. Soon, he saw a large number of people coming, and the leader had a malicious smile on his face. Boy, it seems that you are in trouble. Monkey chuckled, you have to work hard and hold on a little longer. I haven't seen others fight for a long time. Blood, you must see blood. I like this. It's best if you can smash their bodies into pieces. Zichen, I finally found you. When he was still a distance away from Zichen, Gaduan laughed, I'm very happy to see you. Zichen smiled, I'm very happy too. Really? Of course. I still remember that you said that you will owe me a favor in the future. Zichen said, so after I refined those protectors, I went to find you immediately. Unfortunately, I didn't find you. I was disappointed for a long time because I was always worried that you would go back on your words and not come. I didn't expect you to come to the second level so early. It seems that the two of us missed each other early. How dare you? Why don't you salute the king? When they came closer, one of the demons shouted at Zichen angrily. Gaduan waved his hand and said, others need to salute, but Zichen doesn't need to. Monkey looked at this scene and felt a little confused. The two clearly had killing intent, so why didn't they fight when they met, but instead, they were laughing at each other. Hypocrite. He reacted, Humph, humans are indeed hypocritical and cunning, just like Gushan back then. Gaduan stretched out his hand and said, I will remember this favor. Give it to me. Zichen was slightly stunned. What is it? Gaduan King said, the origin of the laws. Didn't we agree that if you give me the origin of the laws, I will owe you a favor? How long has it been? Have you forgotten? Or are you not going to give it to me at all? At the end, Gaduan King's eyes turned cold. Upon hearing this, Zichen said in a wronged tone, I say, sir, your ability to turn your back on me is truly amazing. That wasn't what you said that day. You clearly said that I should kill all the Dao protectors, including the Dao protectors around the honored king. After refining the origin of laws, the two of us will work together to kill the honored king. At that time, you will replace him as the new honored king and take charge of those 17 idiotic subordinates. At that time, you will owe me a favor. Did you forget? Zichen said all this in one breath, not giving Ji Dun a chance to interrupt him. The reason he said this was because in addition to Gaduan and the others, Zichen sensed that many people had come, and there were also kings among them. It was even possible that there were also people from the venerable king. When they heard the conversation, their expressions changed, and they instinctively looked at Gaduan. Gaduan was slightly startled, but then he sneered, I didn't expect you to talk more nonsense than me. But no matter what you say today, you have to leave the origin of laws. Zichen also sneered, you should have said so earlier. Why did you have to greet me with a smile? But what if I don't want to give it to you? Gaduan's face turned gloomy, it seems that your memory is not very good. Have you forgotten what happened back then? Have you forgotten how you knelt in front of me? Zichen looked at Gaduan, are you talking about the king's law? A look of surprise flashed across Gaduan's face, you know? Zichen pointed in a direction. That guy in green robes was lucky enough to display it in front of me once. After experiencing it, I knew. The green-robed king, who had once attacked Zichen, also appeared in sight at this moment. He looked at Zichen with extremely cold eyes. Because he was schemed against by Zichen, now he had no subordinates. Zichen looked at the green-robed king and said with a smile, why don't the two of us fight again? The green-robed king was a little moved, but the green-robed king snorted coldly. As a king, although he was a little impulsive last time, it did not mean that he was a fool. This time, he obviously would not be the one to stand out and make trouble for himself. Besides, Gaduan was here, and he was the most suitable person to kill Zichen. The green-robed king began to retreat, and as he retreated, the other existences in the distance who wanted to watch the show also retreated one by one. After all, they could watch the show from afar, but it was not good to be close. It would be bad if they were affected. Monkey said impatiently, why are you being so wishy-washy? Are you going to fight or not? Gudduin stretched out his hand. Since you want to die, don't blame me for not being polite. I'll take your origin of laws. As for that favor, since you don't know what's good for you, forget it. Then he said one word. Kneel. King's precepts flowed in his palm, and something strange happened in this world. Zichen's perception was the clearest. There was a strong will coming to his side through the king's precepts, trying to force him to the ground. This was a kind of pressure from the will of a superior being, and it came with the precepts. Zichen mobilized the complete power of the precepts, trying to resist this pressure. Suddenly, his expression changed. Some of the precepts became chaotic and were no longer under his control. If these precepts were compared to soldiers, then Gudduin would be the general who trained these soldiers. Although the soldiers were now under his command, with the arrival of the general, these loyal soldiers began to disobey. Zichen did not fall. He was still standing there, but his face turned slightly pale. This is your king's precepts. It's just SOSO. Sure enough, with the complete precepts, you can resist my king's precepts. I'm very satisfied with your performance. Gudduin was in a good mood. If Zichen could resist his precepts, then he, who had obtained the precepts, was confident that he could fight against the honorable kings. He slapped out a palm, and a real palm print went towards Zichen. King's precepts surged outside the palm print. Although this was Gudduin's probing attack, it was still very terrifying. The demons, who were far away, also felt the pressure. Light shone in front of Zichen. The precepts combined with his own power, forming a real defense. As the palm print approached, Zichen's defense immediately collapsed, and Zichen's body slid back. Monkey looked at the retreating Zichen and said, "Kid, you're not good. He's just probing, and you can't even block it. How are you going to fight?" Zichen did not say anything. Instead, he opened his fist and made an inviting gesture. Gudduin's second palm print approached, but this time, it was shattered by Zichen's punch. Then, Zichen strode forward and went straight for Gudduin. During this time, several of Gudduin's palm prints were shattered by Zichen's fists. "Good job, kid. Your physical body is not bad," Monkey shouted loudly, looking a little excited. Zichen approached Gudduin and punched out. Chapter 47-46. Under everyone's gaze, Zichen overpowered Gudduin's attacks one after another. During this period, Gudduin used the king's law, but after probing, Zichen displayed extraordinary means of strength that even the king's law could not suppress. "Not bad, kid, your physical body is not bad." The monkey shouted loudly, watching Zichen fight with punch after punch. It was very happy. It had not seen such a scene for a long time, and it was actually a little excited. Gudduin King sneered and no longer retreated, but took the initiative to attack. The two began to collide with real fists and feet. Every time, energy sputtered out, and the law surged around the two. When Gudduin's attack fell, there would always be a problem with the law surrounding Zichen. There would be weak areas in the defense, and there would also be places where the attack would be disconnected. Gudduin used these disconnections to fight Zichen easily. Under everyone's watch, the two had quickly punched more than 100 times, but neither could do anything to the other. It was a kind of evenly matched battle. The demons in the distance were shocked. With this move alone, they were no longer a match for Zichen. As demons, no one had the confidence to fight against a powerful king. Otherwise, this world would have developed for countless years, and there would be more than 18 kings. The green-robed king's face became gloomier because he knew that he could no longer beat Zichen. From now on, he would have nothing to do with the origin of the law. The other kings present felt the same way. There was some commotion outside the crowd. A special team had arrived. It was the Honorable King. He and Lei Zhangke walked in front, and the other demons followed behind. Of course, they would not miss such a battle scene. Seeing the Honorable King, everyone's heart trembled. What did it mean for the Honorable King to appear at this time? The Honorable King who appeared did not stop the battle. Instead, he stood at the back and watched, as if he was just a spectator. "Sir, what do you think of this battle?" The Honorable King asked with a smile, as if he was not worried that Gudduin would become stronger after winning, or even become a threat to him. Life and death are predestined, Lei Zhengke said very calmly. The Honorable King said, okay, then let's see who will win in the end. At this moment, Monkey was still shouting and cheering for Zichen. This made those who had seen the monkey's ability to scold people a little uncomfortable. At this time, shouldn't he be cursing and scolding these two fellows for disturbing his peace? Powerful shockwaves shook the area. After exchanging hundreds of punches, both of them were pushed back dozens of feet. Zichen's face was a little pale, because every time they fought, it was as if Gaduan was hitting his weak points. Once this kind of tactic was repeated, he would be at a disadvantage. Gaduan's face was still rosy. After he stopped, he smiled and said, "How does it feel to practice with you until now?" Zichen said, "I feel fine, so thank you." Ji Dun smiled and asked, "What's the thank you gift?" "Experience it for yourself." Gaduan's face suddenly sank. Next, he discovered that there was a hidden power within his body. At that moment, the power was uncontrollably surging out from within his body. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his previously ruddy complexion turned pale. There was an uproar in the distance. Many people were very surprised, not knowing what was going on. "Good boy, you actually have this kind of skill. Although it's not very glorious, it's very impressive," Monkey shouted. Gaduan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sighed. "I've seen it for myself. Although I've always been on guard, it's impossible to guard against it." Zichen said regretfully, "It's a pity. If it weren't for the suppression of the king's law, you would have fallen by now." Although the two of them had fought many times, Gaduan's attacks always landed on the weak points of Zichen's attacks. This also affected that part of the hidden power. Therefore, after many punches, Gaduan was only injured, and his combat strength was not affected by much. The next moment, a fierce aura suddenly appeared. The surrounding space instantly became sticky, and pressure appeared from all directions, shrouding the battlefield. "Boy, you're in danger." Monkey's voice was a little more serious. Zichen looked at the saber in Gaduan's hand. Its aura was very different from the sword used by the green-robed king last time. Or rather, its grade was obviously different. "You've seen the king's law last time, but I'm afraid you haven't seen such a weapon, right?" Gaduan King smiled proudly. "This is a weapon left behind by my master. There are only 6 known in the entire alternate world. And this saber of mine is one of them. I call it Flow Break." The saber flashed and was very sharp. The aura that flowed out gave Zichen a sense of danger. His guess was right. Back then, he had only seen it from afar. Today, facing it head-on, Zichen still felt the pressure even though he had refined many laws. Therefore, the short sword appeared. It circled around his body like a stream of light, and it was actually a little uneasy. Again, Gaduan King smiled proudly and immediately flashed forward, slashing down with his saber. There were no other unnecessary movements. He just swung the saber, but the entire space seemed to be split into 2 by this one slash. The monkey looked at the saber, and a complicated expression flashed in his eyes. There was resentment and nostalgia. The short sword came close and blocked the attack. During this time, laws were constantly surging out. Clang! The flow break was blocked. The powerful aura shook, and Zichen's figure immediately retreated. The short sword that was sent flying turned into a stream of light and moved forward. The sword was trembling, and Zichen could feel the other party's fear. "Come." Gaduan's voice sounded again. His figure once again came to Zichen's side and slashed down for the second time. Buzz! On the blade, light flowed in all directions. The power of this slash was actually a little stronger. Zichen's face changed slightly. The short sword came in time again. Boom! From the short sword, there was a wail. All the surging laws were extinguished in an instant, and the short sword was sent flying. Zichen's face was very ugly. Those laws were really disobedient, but he couldn't blame them. After all, they didn't have any consciousness. "Let's see how many slashes you can take." Gaduan slashed again with the saber. This was the 3rd slash. The crowd in the distance looked at this scene. The demons were shocked, and the kings had different expressions. Some of them were envious, while others were jealous. With the weapon left behind by the master, if Geduin could refine the laws of this strange world, he could very well become the second honorable king. The honorable king's expression was still calm, and so was Lei Zhengke. They were really just spectators in this battle. The third slash landed. Zi Chen and the short sword were sent flying at the same time. Zi Chen, who fell to the ground, coughed up blood. Cracks appeared on the surface of the short sword. It was showing signs of collapsing. Kid, if you don't have any other tricks up your sleeve, you should run. You can't deal with that flow break. The monkey suddenly said. As expected, after the fourth slash, Zi Chen was already in a state of serious injury. I don't believe it. It's just a saber. Zi Chen gritted his teeth and stood up. His eyes were unyielding. The short sword approached again. The fifth slash landed. Goodbye. Chapter 47-47. Zi Chen flew backward, his body drawing an arc before landing beside Monkey. Monkey looked at Zi Chen, who was covered in blood, and shook his head. Kid, it's a miracle that you're not dead. Don't be so stubborn. Hurry up and run. Zi Chen stood up and glanced at the short sword beside him. It was already covered in spiderweb-like cracks and could break into countless pieces at any time. One had to know that this was a nomological weapon that was condensed from laws. One could imagine how sharp and tough it was. However, it was on the verge of collapsing after blocking 5 attacks from Geduin's flowbreaker. The others were also shocked. Zi Chen was clearly at a disadvantage. It was certain that Geduin would become stronger. Zi Chen picked up the short sword and said, "Thank you for your hard work." The next moment, he put away the short sword and looked up at Geduin. Geduin held flowbreaker and smiled. "How do you feel now?" Before Zi Chen could speak, he started coughing. His face was even paler, and every time he coughed, there would be blood. Not only did flowbreaker damage the short sword, but it also injured Zi Chen. Even a Dao protector could not heal him in time. "Kid, why aren't you leaving?" Monkey's voice sounded again. "There's no hurry. He's not dead yet. I'm not willing to leave without killing him." Zi Chen replied weakly. Monkey's eyes widened. "Kid, are you crazy or crazy?" Zi Chen did not respond this time because he had closed his eyes. "Do you think it's possible to recover?" Geduin sneered and moved forward again. At the same time, his flowbreaker began to tremble as if it was about to drink blood. He seemed very excited. At this moment, Zi Chen opened his eyes. There seemed to be 2 bolts of lightning in his eyes. That sharp gaze made Geduin feel a piercing pain. He subconsciously stopped, and for some reason, he had a bad feeling. At this moment, a strange change happened. A vortex suddenly appeared in the sky. The vortex spun and expanded. Countless laws appeared between heaven and earth and arrived outside the vortex, forming a protective barrier. Everyone saw the abnormality in the sky but did not know why. The monkey strenuously lifted its head and stared at the law vortex. It couldn't help but be startled. "It seems somewhat familiar. I feel like I've seen it somewhere before." There was no pressure between heaven and earth, nor was there the suffocating aura that appeared when the flowbreak appeared, but for some reason, Geduin King felt an unprecedented sense of danger. He immediately raised his saber and looked up at the sky. He was actually in a defensive posture. "What is this?" The revered king was startled and confused. "He is indeed different from the rest." Lei Zhengke said indifferently. He should be the only one present who could guess what the anomaly was. Under the rotation of the laws in the sky, a black passage appeared in the gradually enlarging vortex. At this moment, Zi Chen uttered a single word. "Fall." The pitch-black tunnel suddenly lit up, as if countless rays of light were surging out from within. The world was bright, so bright that it was somewhat dazzling. Following that, a deafening explosion rang out. A real bolt of lightning flew out of the passageway and went straight down. It was like a chain released by a deity from the sky, twisting and falling into the human world. The monkey's eyes suddenly widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. "This is controlling thunder." The explosion sounded again, and the light of the thunder was completely released. Everyone felt that their eyes were momentarily blinded. Vaguely, They seemed to see a saber light soaring into the sky, which was then annihilated in the light. In the blink of an eye, the light disappeared. The vortex in the sky had dissipated, and the lingering laws disappeared from this world again. Zichen's body swayed, and he almost fell. He forced himself to stand. It was indeed extremely difficult to use the thunder controlling technique in this world. Even with the laws as a cover to cover his aura, he still suffered a considerable backlash. It was much more difficult than using the short sword as a medium to use the thunder sword. But the result was not bad. The thunder controlling technique appeared, and the battle was basically over. Zichen looked ahead. Gaduan King was in a posture of pointing his saber at the sky. His body was motionless, as if he had become stiff under the lightning. Phew! Zichen exhaled. He could feel that the laws in his body had all stabilized, and the restraint of the king's laws had become very weak. Gaduan King suddenly withdrew his saber, and then looked at Zichen. What's that? The monkey, who was at the side, looked at Zichen with a different gaze. It's a thunder summoning technique, specially used to deal with you. The weak Zichen said, you're easier to deal with than I thought, even if you have that extraordinary saber. Gaduan King asked again, in that case, why didn't you use it earlier? Zichen said, this is a trump card. How can I use it casually? But it's just right to use it now. It's not too early or too late. Got it. Gaduan King nodded, then turned around. Under everyone's stunned expression, he left just like that. Was he fine? Zichen's expression was very calm, and he did not show the slightest dissatisfaction because of the other party's departure. Gaduan only managed to take 3 steps before collapsing to the ground. After falling to the ground, his body began to disintegrate into countless light particles, and finally, only a set of beast bones was left. Looking at the sparkling beast bones, Zichen seemed to understand why Mayin called him a beast. That should be Gaduan's true body. Beside the beast bones, Liu Duan also fell to the side. It was the weapon left behind by its master, and for a moment, many people were tempted. There was no hesitation, no struggle, not even the slightest hesitation. The moment they saw the saber, one by one, they moved. They rushed forward towards the saber, and some ran towards the heavily injured Zichen. A light appeared beside Zichen. It was Mayin. Let's go. It shouted anxiously. Zichen said with some surprise, aren't you waiting for an opportunity? Obviously, now is not the best time. We'll talk about that later. If you don't leave now, you won't be able to. Mayin used her power to envelop Zichen, wanting to take Zichen away. Zichen shook his head, indicating that he would not leave. Mayin was anxious. Why are you still acting like a hero at this point? As long as you're alive, there will be plenty of opportunities. No, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Zichen's eyes became resolute, and he was determined not to leave. In fact, after he rejected Mayin for the first time, he already had no chance to leave. He was surrounded. There were demons, and there were kings. Among them, the cyan-robed king was here, and so was Jeepa. The Liu Duan saber was in Zichen's hands. This was because no one was closer to Gaduan than Zichen, and he only needed to use the laws to take the saber. Liu Duan's saber was very heavy in his hand, perhaps because he did not refine it. At this moment, he stood with the saber, looking at these people. What is the meaning of this? The cyan-robed king said coldly, cut the crap. Of course, we want you dead. Mayin flew in front of Zichen and transmitted her voice, I'll use a secret technique. It should be able to send you away. Zichen could hear the decisiveness in Mayin's voice, and he could guess the price she would have to pay for this. Compared to Mayin, Chung Ho, who had not appeared until now, was very disloyal. There's no need to sacrifice yourself. It's not that bad yet. Chapter 47-48. Everyone seemed to have heard a very funny joke, and they all began to laugh. Some people laughed until their backs were bent. Don't you know how you killed Gaduan? Moreover, you almost lost half of your life when you killed Gaduan King. Can't you see? Don't you feel childish to threaten us with such words? You're about to die, and you still dare to threaten us with nonsense. Do you think we're stupid? The green-robed king's eyes surged with murderous intent, and he said indifferently, Today, no matter what, you will die. He had previously rushed straight to the stream, and his reaction was already very fast. Unfortunately, Zi Chen had beaten him to it, so he was naturally angry. All along, he had wanted to get a weapon that was made by his master. Zi Chen looked at the others. What about you? Do you all want me to die? The revered king did not come forward, but still stood in the distance. Lei Zhangke was also quietly watching the development of the situation in front of him. His expression did not change much. Only the appearance of the lightning controlling technique had moved him a little. However, he could not understand the current situation. Zi Chen had insisted on not leaving before, so where did his confidence come from? During this time, he glanced into the distance. Chung Ho was sitting in a very high position and did not interfere from the beginning. Even that unknown bird had appeared, but Chung Ho was indifferent. This made him wonder what the other party meant. Or rather, the two were not friends at all. This was because he knew a little about what happened back then. However, these doubts were well concealed by him. No matter what Zi Chen's confidence was, and what Chung Ho's plan was, if they continued to watch, everything would eventually be revealed. Everyone's eyes were cold, and killing intent surged around them. Everyone who came here naturally hoped that Zi Chen would die. Looking at everyone, Zi Chen said again, "There are so many of you, and I only have one source of laws and a knife. How should we distribute them? This is our business. It has nothing to do with you. You'd better think about how you're going to die," Jipa responded coldly. Zi Chen nodded and said, "It seems that you all want me to die. Then, to be blunt, we are now enemies. I, Zi Chen, have never shown mercy to my enemies. Geduan is the clearest example. So, I'll give everyone a final warning. Don't go against me, or you'll die. I don't care if you believe it or not, but I do. You talk too much. Kill him." Jipa was getting impatient. Zi Chen nodded and said, "All right, I'll try to persuade you again and again. Since you won't listen, then don't blame me. Everyone, please take a look at this." Zi Chen reached into his bosom, and in the next moment, a seed emitting the light of thunder appeared in his hand. Previously, Geduan had died at the hands of Lei Ting, so this bolt of lightning caused everyone who was about to attack to pause. The thunderbolt seed left Zi Chen's palm and landed in front of him, instantly sinking into the ground. The ground trembled, and a great commotion spread out. An enormous lightning tree grew out of thin air. It took up almost all of the space in the surroundings. The beings surrounding Zi Chen immediately retreated in the face of such a change. Their expressions had already changed. Right at this moment, bolts of lightning shot out from the lightning tree, heading straight for the crowd. Other than Zi Chen and Mai Yin, who were under the tree and were unaffected, everyone else was baptized by the lightning. This included the monkey. Bathed in lightning, the monkey stared blankly at the lightning tree, as if he had lost his mind. Exclamations rang out one after another. The branches of the lightning tree extended forward like lightning snakes, quickly reaching for everyone. "What's this?" Mai Yin looked at this lightning world, her eyes full of shock. "My true life-saving means," Zi Chen said proudly, "looks like the effects have far exceeded my expectations." In the distance, Chung Ho finally raised his eyelids. He's finally not stupid. Looks like Frost Maiden's advice has been effective. Then, Chung Ho stood up, stretched, and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His gaze swept across the lightning, and he sneered. "Isn't it funny? What *T scheme? In the face of absolute power, it can't withstand a single blow. Since he can come here, he's destined to not die." Then, Chung Ho looked at Zi Chen. "But this kid is also very devious. He deliberately injured himself and then lured them here to die. It seems that no matter which era he was born in, his bad character is the same." Chung Ho finally looked in Lei Zhengke's direction. He saw the uncontrollable shock on Lei Zhengke's face and snorted disdainfully. Finally, he looked at the huge lightning tree. Even if it's just a reluctant incarnation, it's already over. Zi Chen had come to this world with a total of 13 trump cards. Among them, he had wasted a total of 10 at Mei Yin's place. Those 10 trump cards were barely enough to deal with the big bird and allow him to survive. Of the remaining 3 trump cards, Zi Chen had used one when he killed that young man. However, that young man was only a Dao protector of the Yang realm. Now that Zi Chen had grown to a level comparable to a king, what was the use of the remaining 2 trump cards? Thus, all this while, Zi Chen had almost never counted on this trump card. It was only after a chat with Sister Frost Maiden that he realized how extraordinary this trump card was, coupled with the fact that his comprehension of the laws was getting stronger and stronger. It could become stronger as Zi Chen's power increased. In other words, the strength of the trump card didn't depend on the power of the trump card, but on Zi Chen's strength. Therefore, Zi Chen had used his trump card this time. He had estimated that he would need to use 2 of them. However, it seemed like the effect was not bad. Lei Zhengke looked at the lightning tree. He wasn't shocked by the power of the lightning tree, but by the origin of the lightning seed. This was because he knew how the Holy Thunder Clan's lightning tree had come about. He also knew very well that after Zi Chen had left, he hadn't looked for the lightning tree again. The origin of the lightning seed had to be considered. At the same time, he also understood where Chung Ho's calmness came from. What is this? The respectable king was deeply shaken, because he sensed the auras disappearing one after another, including the king's. Why was this tree that had appeared out of thin air so terrifying that it could kill kings? It's something from our world. Lei Zhengke tried his best to speak calmly. It's similar to a clone. The High King said, even a clone is so terrifying. Then how strong is the main body? This time, the High King was shocked. He had thought that there was nothing special about that world because the outstanding people who had come here were all SOSO. However, today, seeing the lightning tree changed his mind. After the lightning tree disappeared, only one person had successfully escaped. It was Ji Qing because he had a sword from his previous master. It was with this sword that he had successfully broken out. He was the only one who had survived. Chapter 47-49. There were many corpses on the ground, but there were even more spectators around. Previously, when Zi Chen was heavily injured, many people wanted to take advantage of the situation and rushed forward. However, there were even more people who had scruples, such as the status of the honorable king and the accountability after the incident, so they stayed where they were. They were lucky. They were not killed. King Guqing stood in the distance with many wounds on his body. He was also lucky. In fact, he should not have gone forward because he had the weapon left behind by his master. However, at that moment, he did not know why he was hot-headed and went forward. He was originally fearless, but who knew that he would almost lose his life? Of the 18 kings, other than Gaduan who was killed previously, 7 of them were killed. Only Guqing survived. 6 kings and dozens of demons were killed by the uncle. Zi Chen and Ma Yin stood there, the latter almost petrified. His mission here was to kill kings, even if it was just one. Now, 7 of them were dead. Although he was not the one who killed them, it did not conflict with his mission. The law reappeared and came to Zi Chen's side to heal his injuries. After the previous method, he believed that the others would be more cautious and would not be fooled again. Therefore, there was no need to let him continue to be injured. While he was healing, Zi Chen looked at Guqing in the distance. You are lucky. That sword is good stuff. Does it have a name? He waved the flowing blade in his hand a few times. King Guqing's face was gloomy as he stared at Zi Chen indifferently without saying a word. Zi Chen's eyes suddenly turned cold. I hate idiots like you the most. If I see you again in 3 breaths, you will die. King Guqing's expression changed and anger appeared on his face. Just when everyone thought that he might fight with Zi Chen for his dignity, he turned and left. Zi Chen snorted in disdain. Idiot. You don't have any guts. You want to steal from others. The surrounding people remained silent as they looked at Zi Chen in shock. A king was scolded and left just like that. Zi Chen blew a breath in front of him. The law disintegrated the body, leaving behind the glowing bones. What? You want to steal my things too? Zi Chen said, then let's do it. To be honest, I only have one of those things to save my life. Once I use it, it's gone. Now, I'm the same as everyone else. Everyone's expression changed, But not many people really believed Zichen's words. Even if they did, no one had the guts to step forward and attack. After all, the current Zichen was equivalent to a true king. One person was obviously not enough. At the very least, several kings had to come together. But what if Zichen had a similar trick up his sleeve? Wouldn't that be suicide? Therefore, when they saw Zichen picking up the corpses, they retreated one after another. At this point, they no longer had any thoughts about Zichen's origin of laws. During this period of time, many king tiers were extremely regretful. Who would have thought that in the end, they would have raised a tiger that had become a huge problem? If they had known earlier, they would not have sent out their own guardians. Almost everyone left because if they continued to stay, they might be killed by Zichen. The respectable king was still standing there. Zichen clasped his fists at the respectable king. His attitude towards this existence was much better. The respectable king smiled and nodded. Then, he clasped his fists in response and left. Lei Zhengke also left. In the blink of an eye, everyone left. After Zichen kept all the spoils of war, he re-evaluated the flowbreaker in his hand. This was the most powerful weapon he had ever seen. He had to admit that the ruler of this world was extremely high. Otherwise, he would not have been able to forge such a weapon. Monkey stuck his head out, but his expression had returned to normal. Previously, Lei Zhengke had also attacked it. But it was not sure if it did not feel threatened, but it stopped in the end. Zichen came in front of Monkey and squatted there, looking at it. "Kid, what are you looking at?" Monkey stared at Zichen. Zichen smiled and said, "I just noticed that Senior's expression changed." "Could it be that you know that tree?" Monkey shook his head. I don't know. Zichen asked again, "Then Senior, do you know which realm the ruler of this world belongs to?" Monkey shook his head again. I don't know. Obviously, after being probed by Zichen, Monkey became alert and did not tell Zichen any valuable information. Then Senior should know about the spiritual realm, right? Monkey still shook his head. He had made up his mind not to say anything. Zichen scratched his head and said, "That's boring. Senior spoke so straightforwardly before, but now you're so hesitant. You're a little petty. I'm thinking that Senior was locked up here by the ruler of this world, Ji Shan. Could it be because you're petty?" T. Monkey was angry. "Kid, what do you know?" Zichen smiled. "It's because I don't know, that's why I'm asking. Why don't you help me? See what I don't know, and what I'm pretending to know." Mai Yin was not far away and did not disturb him. She was in a good mood. Chung Ho did not come over either. His mood was average. Monkey looked at Zichen and said, "Who's the strongest in the spiritual realm now?" "Sacred Venerables." Zichen said, "No, it's the ancient Sacred Venerables. They're the strongest." Ancient Sacred Venerables? Monkey's eyes were filled with doubt. Clearly, he was not familiar with this name and realm. Zichen said, "They're equivalent to the leaders of this world. Those from before were demons. The one I killed was a king. He's slightly stronger than the demons, but they should be in the same realm." With this explanation, Monkey understood. He said, "It seems that I missed something." "What did I miss?" Zichen asked. "I've seen that tree before. I didn't expect to see a wisp of its incarnation this time. Perhaps it can't be considered missed." Monkey said, "Ji Shan did something very impressive back then, but it also tied a knot. It seems that this knot will eventually be untied." Monkey looked at Zichen and said seriously, "If the person who can untie the knot is you, then you should think twice." Zichen was confused. He did not know what Monkey was talking about. He asked again. Monkey said, "There's no point in telling you now. It might even bring about negative effects. Let's just let nature take its course." Zichen asked a few more questions, but he did not get an answer. Zichen finally asked, "Senior, how should I address you?" "Scarlet Ape." "What's in the other levels?" Zichen asked again. Chapter 4750. Zichen bade farewell to Scarlet Ape and wanted to go to the third level to take a look. The little black snake on the first level was called Eight-Headed, and the second level was Scarlet Ape. What about the third level? Would there be any new discoveries after entering? However, Chen searched for a long time, but he couldn't find the entrance to the third level. This left him somewhat surprised. There were a total of 7 levels here, and he had only reached the second level. Chen was filled with anticipation for the next few levels. He released his nomological perception to find the entrance to the next level, but he didn't find anything. After searching for a long time without finding anything, Chen walked back and came to Scarlet Ape's side. "Why are you back?" Scarlet Ape looked at Chen. "I didn't find the entrance." Chen looked somewhat depressed. Scarlet Ape chuckled and didn't say anything else to discourage him. Therefore, Chen sat down cross-legged and took out the cracked short sword to repair it. Upon seeing this scene, Scarlet Ape asked in confusion, "Don't you have broken flow? Why are you refining it?" Broken flow is Shan's weapon. In his early years, Shan used it to fight. It's a truly high-quality existence. "It's much better than your short sword." Chen said, "I have a friend. She's also a Dao protector here, and she's a local. This short sword might not be of much significance to me, but it's really good for her. Furthermore, it's very suitable for her. Therefore, after repairing it, I'll leave it to her. I didn't expect you to be such a nice person." Scarlet Ape could not help but sneer as he watched Chen slowly repair the short sword. "I have no choice. Back then, more than 10 Dao protectors wanted my life, but she chose to cooperate with me. She trusts me so much, so I naturally have to repay her before leaving." Chen said, "Besides, I've already killed all the Dao protectors. She's the only one left. Once I leave, what if those monarchs attack her? It's still excellent to have a short sword to protect herself. I didn't expect you to be so thoughtful." Scarlet Ape curled his lips. Chung Ho did not approach this place, nor did he cultivate. Mai Yin stayed with him. Chen took out the beast bone and refined it bit by bit. The cracks on the dagger were slowly mended. The atmosphere was silent and there was no sound. When there was no one around, Scarlet Ape did not find it boring. But now that there was someone around, it began to feel bored. "Heh, kid, do you know what a demon is?" Scarlet Ape suddenly spoke. Chen said, "Aren't you one of them? I mean, except for me. That Gaduan I killed earlier, judging from the bones he left behind, should be a demon. There are other kings who died as well. Judging from their skeletons, they all seem to be demons." Chen said, "In the spiritual realm, there are many demons. One of my friends can take human form at will. Generally speaking, demons are not humans." "Looks like you know quite a lot, kid." Scarlet Ape said, "Then do you know how many clans there are in this world?" "The 3 races." Chen answered without hesitation, "God, devil, spirit." "Then what about demons? Where do you place them?" "Naturally, they belong to whichever realm they live in. For example, in this war between the God, devil, and spirit clans, the demons living in the spiritual realm will help the spiritual realm fight. The demons living in the devil realm are tainted with devil chi and naturally fight for the devil realm." "I see." Scarlet Ape sank into deep thought. Chen suddenly stopped and turned to look at Scarlet Ape. "Senior, what are you trying to say?" Scarlet Ape suddenly said, "Be careful of demons." Chen nodded and answered carelessly, "Oh, kid, don't you find it strange?" Scarlet Ape was very surprised. "What's wrong with that? I'm a spiritual, but I'm also wary of spiritual. Many of my enemies are spiritual," Chen said indifferently. Scarlet Ape opened its mouth, wanting to say something, but for some reason, it stopped. Chen continued to repair the dagger, so he did not see the change in Scarlet Ape's expression. "Senior, why are you imprisoned here?" Chen suddenly asked. "Me?" Scarlet Ape smiled. "It's been too long. I've forgotten. I seem to have gone crazy from killing and lost my mind. Shan brought me here." Chen looked back at Scarlet Ape. "Are you killing enemies?" Scarlet Ape said, "I forgot." "I think so." Chen stopped and asked curiously, "Senior, why didn't you ask me to save you?" Scarlet Ape said disdainfully, "If you could save me, you would have saved 8-Headed long ago. Why would you wait until now?" Chen said, "Eight-headed can't. I don't trust it. If I really saved it, I probably wouldn't be able to come up alive. Then you dare to save me? To be honest, I don't really dare, so I've never tried. However, if there is a chance, I don't mind saving Senior. After all, I feel that Senior is not bad after chatting with you for a while." The opportunity that Chen was talking about was when he had nothing to worry about. "Maybe there will be a chance." Scarlet Ape smiled. "Where is the entrance to the third floor?" Chen suddenly asked. "I don't know. Go find it yourself. If you can find it, it's your fortune. If you can't, don't be sad. Maybe you're not strong enough." Chen did not try to find the entrance to the third floor. Instead, he stayed where he was and continued to repair the dagger. The others still stayed on this floor. Many people began to look for the entrance to the third floor, but they found nothing. After a period of time, the short sword looked much better than before. Most of the cracks on it had been repaired. Chen sheathed his short sword, stood up, and stretched his back. Scarlet Ape glanced at Chen but did not say anything. Chen said, "Go wait for some friends at the entrance. They should be here soon." After saying goodbye to Scarlet Ape, Chen walked toward the entrance. Although he could not return to the first floor, the entrance was in the same general direction. Zhong Hao walked over from the other side, looking as if he had not woken up. "Why aren't you cultivating?" Chen asked. "No rush. I'll go back and cultivate slowly," Chung Ho said casually. "Anyway, when I go back, I'll be a proper demon supreme. I'll have enough power to unify the three realms." Chen said, "What if there are demons in the god and demon races?" "So what? They definitely don't have as many as we do," Chung Ho said with a smile. "I didn't expect to come here by accident and improve so much. Then you should take some inner cores back. That way, everyone can break through. Won't it be easier to deal with the dangers that might appear in the future?" "That's true. Okay." The lazy Chung Ho finally moved, but he was not very diligent. Chen, on the other hand, was killing the monkeys here and there, taking their inner cores. After arriving at the entrance, he stopped and continued to repair the dagger. He had already made up his mind to leave the dagger to Ling. As for the origin of the laws, because it had become his own power, he could not separate it, so Chen had to take it with him. Chen had not refined flow break yet. Chapter 4751. Looking at the monkey's inner core in front of him, Chen was slightly surprised. Last time, Ma Yin left without saying anything, so Chen thought it had left. He didn't expect it to go to kill the monkey. "This is my thanks to you," Ma Yin said directly. Chen knew it well. It might not understand if he said too much, so he didn't stand on ceremony and took all the inner cores, accepting its thanks. Then, he looked at Ma Yin. "You still want to kill a king?" Ma Yin said, "I'm not sure. When we came, I said that as long as I killed one, I would win. But now, seeing you kill a few kings, I'm hesitating." Looking at the troubled Ma Yin, Chen smiled. "There's no rush. Go and confirm it after we leave here. If you really want to kill a few kings, I'll do it." "Really?" Ma Yin was pleasantly surprised. "Yes." Chen nodded and smiled. "Then wait here. I'll go find some more inner cores for you." With that, Ma Yin turned into light and disappeared. "Be careful. If there's any danger, run here. I won't be going anywhere for now." Seeing Ma Yin leave, Chen reminded her. Ma Yin turned into light and disappeared. Seemingly influenced by Ma Yin's diligence, Chung Ho also left at this time. The cracks on the short sword were finally repaired, but its luster was still not back to how it was before. The same went for its power. Chen put it away. The refinement had come to an end. Then, he took out the flow breaker. It was said that this was the weapon Ji Shan used in battle. The moment it appeared, a murderous aura swept out. Feeling the sharp aura, Chen was very satisfied. With this blade, whether it was the bones left behind by kings or demons, they were useless. Its quality was high enough that it didn't need any additional refinement. Chen split a part of his power and started refining the flow breaker. During the refining process, The flowbreaker's aura stirred up the surrounding space and began to distort. The ripples shook and spread out layer by layer. At first, the range was small, but as the ripples continued to appear, they began to expand. Strand after strand, layer after layer, spread out. Many of them had sensed the ripples. Through sensing the aura, they could guess where the ripples came from. For a moment, all kinds of complicated emotions welled up in his heart. After arriving here, the Honorable King and Lei Zhengke did not gain anything. Instead, they witnessed Zichen's growth. Currently, Zichen's true battle prowess was comparable to a king's. If he still had that life-saving trump card, he would already be comparable to a high king's. They were currently searching for the entrance to the third level, but just like Zichen, they couldn't find it even after searching for a long time. This included the revered kings as well. None of them had gained anything. Unable to find the entrance, and unable to find a way to leave, even the calm Honorable King began to feel anxious. Suddenly, a ripple surged out, appearing in the perception of the High King. The revered king's expression changed as he turned to look at Lei Zhengke. Lei Zhengke's gaze was already fixed on the source of the aura. "It's the aura of the main weapon," the High King said. "It seems that Zichen has begun to refine that weapon. Who would have thought that there would be such a huge commotion?" Lei Zhengke was a little emotional. "This time, coming here has truly broadened my horizons." Lei Zhengke's words were not spoken casually. They were from the bottom of his heart. After arriving here, he had become a demon. This was a realm that had never appeared before in history. He had gained quite a lot. With this realm as a foundation, he was even more convinced that the other world was real. The coordinates back then also led to that place. And the ruler of the alternate world, Ji Shan, had also gone to that place in the end. Zichen has improved so quickly since arriving here. Could it be that there's something special about him? The revered king said. It seems that everything in this world is extremely friendly to him. Others used countless years to reach this point, but he used an extremely short amount of time. Lei Zhengke suddenly recalled something. It was the matter of Zichen's arrival in this world. He knew a lot about Zichen, but he did not know what Zichen had experienced and discovered after arriving here. Therefore, he had always suspected that Zichen had obtained the coordinates back then from here. The ripples were still surging and had already covered the entire second level. The Green Robe King, who had already left, stopped at a place where no one was around. Although he said that he was stopping, he was actually hiding. In front of everyone, Zichen had told him to scram and then left. Now that he thought about it, it was really embarrassing. He'd guessed the reason for the phenomenon before him. It was surely because Zichen was refining a weapon. According to his understanding of Zichen, there wouldn't be more than 2 guards by his side at this moment. Could he catch them off guard? But it was just a thought. In the end, he still did not have the courage to follow the aura and attack Zichen. The other kings were the same. No matter how much they coveted the item in Zichen's hands, they still restrained themselves. After all, compared to opportunities, one's life was still the most precious. When the ripples came, Scarlet Ape opened its eyes. Its gaze seemed to pass through the mountains and looked in the direction of Zichen. It thought of a conversation with Ji Shan back then. "If I can come back, I will definitely let you go. If I don't, you can only wait for the chaotic times." How chaotic are the chaotic times? Very chaotic. How chaotic is very chaotic? When demons run amok. No one knew that in that era, Ji Shan had almost single-handedly quelled the chaotic times. The ripples lasted for a very, very long time, and slowly weakened. Everyone knew that this was because Zichen was about to finish refining the weapon, so they had missed the best time to ambush him. At the entrance, as the last ripple disappeared, Zichen opened his eyes. Light flowed on the stream, and its aura was still terrifying and oppressive. But to Zichen, it was no longer a threat. After refining its sharpness, Zichen had a clearer understanding of it. At this moment, rays of brilliance appeared a few hundred feet away from Zichen. They were the people he was waiting for. Everyone finally came from the first floor to the second floor. As soon as they appeared, everyone felt the oppressive aura. It was as if they were facing a great enemy. Then, the oppressive aura disappeared, and they saw Zichen. Their expressions were relaxed as they walked forward. Zichen explained the situation on this floor to everyone and then led them deeper into the cave. Next, I will go to the third floor and take you to a relatively safe place. He brought everyone to the place where Scarlet Ape was suppressed. On the way, Zichen gave the short sword to Xiongling. Xiongling immediately declined and finally took it. Through the rules, she sensed that the short sword was damaged. She was very shocked and secretly guessed the situation Zichen encountered at that time. After arranging everyone here, Zichen went to the third floor. Just as he was refining the stream, he sensed the entrance to the third floor through the ripples that surged out. Chapter 4752. Zichen arranged for everyone to stay with Kai Yang. Kai Yang did not have any objections. After all, he could not move freely. Looking at Zichen's friends, Kai Yang's gaze finally landed on the demon ape. The two were somewhat similar. The only difference was that the demon ape had scales all over its body. Zichen instructed everyone to take note of some things. In the meantime, he told Xiongling that the king of her kingdom had come. After that, Zichen left. This time, he really left. No one could find the entrance to the third level. Only Zichen could vaguely sense its location through the aura of heaven and earth when he was refining Flowing Break. After leaving Kai Yang's place, Zichen headed north. Halfway there, he saw a group of people walking towards him. It was the Honorable King and Lei Zhengke. Zichen clasped his fists at the two of them and bowed respectfully. The Honorable King clasped his fists in return and nodded with a smile. Lei Zhengke walked forward and looked at Zichen. "You're going to the third level?" "Yes." Zichen did not deny it. The Honorable King's expression changed slightly. As this was Lei Zhengke's guess, he came here to ask about it. He did not expect it to be true. At that moment, he was even more impressed with this Mr. "Sir, do you want to come with me?" Zichen looked at Lei Zhengke. Lei Zhengke shook his head and said, "No, you go by yourself. I'm here to tell you something." "What is it?" Zichen was curious. Lei Zhengke said, "If possible, find a coordinate. That's a passage to another world." "Immortal spell world? You know about it?" Lei Zhengke's face was filled with surprise. Zichen shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. I heard about it from the monkey, but I don't know where it is. Looks like the talkative monkey treats you well." Lei Zhengke smiled and said, "Yes, it's the immortal spell world. Back then, you had the coordinates of the passage to the immortal spell world. That's the future of the spirit race. I hope you can find it again." "The future of the spirit race?" Zichen asked in confusion. "Why not the Saint Spirit realm? The world we live in is our foundation. The most important thing now is to chase the godfiends out, just like in the past." Lei Zhengke smiled faintly and said, "Accompany me for a walk." Zichen followed beside Lei Zhengke. "Why did the gods and devils invade the Saint Spirit realm? Do you think they are after the territory of the Saint Spirit realm? If it's really that simple, we can carve out some regions for them since the Saint Spirit world is so sparse. Even if all of them came to the Saint Spirit realm, it would be enough to accommodate them," Lei Zhengke said as he walked. Zichen shook his head, disagreeing with this statement. "Those who are not of our race will have different intentions. We will never be able to coexist. What about the Saint Devil region? What about the Divine realm?" Lei Zhengke smiled as he looked at Zichen. "They possess the bloodline of the devil race and the god race respectively. Why are they still living in our world? Also, your friends are from the god race and the devil race, right? They are different. They were born and bred in this world. This is their home. When the godfiends arrive here, the Saint Spirit realm will also be their home. They will also be like your friends, protecting this world." Lei Zhengke suddenly laughed. "Look, why are the two of us discussing this? We are now talking about the coordinates. The real purpose of the godfiends invading the Saint Spirit realm is to enter the immortal arts realm. Because only the Saint Spirit realm has the path to the immortal arts realm. You yourself come from the myriad worlds. You should know very well how attractive the Saint Spirit realm is to the myriad worlds. The same is true for the immortal arts realm to the Godfiend realm. In this current world, the Saint Venerate is the limit. But once you enter the immortal arts realm, you can break through this limit of cultivation. This is what all the Saint Venerates are after. Lei Zhengke finally looked at Zi Chen. If you want peace in the three realms, you have to find the coordinates of the entrance to the immortal arts realm. Once the immortal arts realm is opened, the chaos and strife in this world will naturally be resolved. My lord, what do you mean by looking for me today? Go. Go up level by level. Find the coordinates and bring them back. Let the three realms truly achieve peace and coexistence. Let this world be free of conflict and war. Although the two of them had different ideals, their final thoughts were the same. Zi Chen could not refute this. After cupping his fists at Lei Zhengke, Zi Chen turned to leave. But after taking a few steps, he suddenly stopped. He turned back and asked, "Since that is the case, my lord, why don't you come with me?" Lei Zhengke smiled and said, "You are a Dao protector. You are someone who has been blessed by another world. If there really are coordinates, I believe only you can find them." Zi Chen nodded again and left. The others did not follow. They just watched as Zi Chen walked away. Lei Zhengke came in front of the Honorable King. The Honorable King smiled bitterly. I didn't expect that the Honorable King's understanding of this world would be inferior to that of an outsider. Everything has a reason. Asterisk 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 asterisk. As Zi Chen walked towards the entrance of the third level, the others who had obtained clues looked at Zi Chen from afar. But no one dared to approach. They could only watch as Zi Chen walked in a certain direction and followed from afar. The Honorable King and Lei Zhengke did not intend to enter the next level, but that did not mean that the others did not intend to do so. After walking for a while, Zi Chen finally stood in an open space. The surroundings were empty. There was nothing. Zi Chen's hand flashed, and Flowbreaker appeared. An oppressive aura was released from the blade. This aura caused the expressions of the people in the distance to change, including the kings. Some of the kings even felt a sense of alarm in their hearts. It seemed that this Liu Duan in Zi Chen's hands was even more powerful than when Geduan had used it. Zi Chen held the blade and slashed forward. A dazzling blade light appeared in everyone's vision. The entire space was split in two by Zi Chen. A passage appeared in front of them. There was a commotion in the distance. The people did not expect the passage to be hidden so deeply. But Zi Chen did not move. Of course, the others did not dare to move forward rashly. The previous slash had split space. Perhaps in the next moment, their bodies would be split. Zi Chen put away his blade and looked into the distance. This made them even more afraid to act rashly. Zi Chen walked towards the passage and his figure disappeared quickly. Seeing this, the others hesitated for a moment. Then, they walked forward. After all, they could not follow Zi Chen too closely. But just as they approached, before they could enter the space, they saw that the previous entrance had disappeared. Everyone was stunned. Then, someone immediately tried to open a new passage. But to no avail. Welcome to Sky Tiger City. Chapter 4753. A powerful attack appeared in front of an evil demon and slashed towards the empty space in front of him. Wherever the attack passed, a few clear slashes were left in the air. The tunnel did not appear. The evil demon could not help but be startled. The people nearby all attacked, but it was to no avail. This made the group of evil demons a little depressed because Zi Chen had entered from here. Why couldn't he enter now? Get out of the way. A cold voice sounded. King Guqing appeared behind the crowd with a sword in his hand. This sword was also one of the main weapons and was very powerful. The evil demons retreated. King Guqing slashed out with his sword, leaving a clear slash in the air. The space was slashed open by the sword. However, before the crowd could reveal an excited expression, they were shocked to find that there was no tunnel after the space was slashed open. The space closed up again. The crowd was puzzled. Even King Guqing was startled. This should not be happening. Chen had just left. Asterisk 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 Chen looked at the girl in front of him. She was about 10 to 8 years old and looked very cute. She smiled at Chen, revealing her small canine teeth. Her smile was very sweet. Sky Tiger City. Chen could not believe her words and looked at the little girl in a daze. Yes, we welcome you. The little girl looked at Chen with unconcealable excitement. My name is Meow Meow. I'm the receptionist here. Does young master want to enter the city? Receptionist. Are there many people here? Chen asked. Not many. Miss Meow Meow shook her head. Chen frowned. Is this really the third level of the pagoda of confinement? If he was not wrong, in recent times, no, in the past countless years, he was the first one to arrive here. Since she said not many people were here, did that mean there were others here? Who was it? Even the Honorable King did not come here. Who else had the ability to come here? Does young master want to enter the city? Miss Meow Meow asked again, looking very excited. Wait a moment. Chen turned around and looked behind him. He remembered that there were many people watching from afar. Perhaps they would follow the entrance. As long as he saw them, Chen would be able to determine whether or not this was the third floor of the pagoda of confinement. Meow Meow stood at the side and waited patiently. Occasionally, she would sneak a peek at Chen. Chen didn't wait for the others to come in, which made him feel uneasy. Every time Chen looked at Meow Meow, she would smile and quickly turn her head away. Young master, are you waiting for a friend? After a long time, Meow Meow finally asked. Chen shook his head and said, let's enter the city. Meow Meow immediately nodded and said politely, young master, please follow me. In Chen's field of vision, there was a huge and magnificent city. This was very different from the things he had encountered on the first 2 floors. Meow Meow, how long have you been in the Sky Tiger City? Chen took the initiative to ask on the way. Meow Meow replied, in response to young master's question, I have been in Sky Tiger City for as long as I can remember. However, I haven't been a hostess for a long time. This is because hostess needs to go through many rounds of selection. I have tried many times in the past, but I was always eliminated. Chen said, don't call me young master, just call me Chen. I'm not used to being called young master. Alright then, young master Chen. Miss Meow Meow happily agreed. Do hostesses need to be selected? Yes, the city lord said that hostess is a very sacred profession. We must go through a strict selection. Meow Meow nodded seriously. Chen suddenly thought of something and said awkwardly, this is my first time here, so I don't have much money on me. May I know what I need to prepare before entering the city? After all, she was the one who personally came to receive him, so there should be some tips. Miss Meow Meow shook her head. There's no need, young master just needs to follow me into the city. Then, Meow Meow said hesitantly, however, after entering the city, I hope young master won't blame Meow Meow for not serving you well. Chen smiled and shook his head. At this moment, he was muttering in his heart. As they approached the city gate, Chen saw that the city gate in front of him was open. At the side of the city gate, there was an old man wearing worn-out armor sitting on a chair and taking a nap. When they were still some distance away, Meow Meow shouted excitedly, Grandpa Wei, Grandpa Wei. The old man woke up from his nap and looked forward. Chen's expression became vigilant. On the path of cultivation, old people were often extraordinary. However, this old man's eyes were lifeless, and his essence, energy, and spirit were all in a state of decline. It was obvious that he was just an ordinary old soldier. It's Meow Meow. The old soldier's eyesight was not very good, so he only recognized Meow Meow when she walked closer. Then, he smiled, Are you welcoming a distinguished guest for the city lord? Good, very good. It seems like the heavens are looking after the hard-working and kind people. Meow Meow's face immediately turned red when she heard the old soldier's praise. Chen cupped his fists at the old man. The old man was a little flattered. He quickly stood up and waved his hand, but he could not do it. The chair was unstable and fell backward. You little fox, Where did you find such an idiot? At this moment, a discordant voice sounded from the other side. Zichen turned around and saw a man and a woman walking towards him. The woman was young and beautiful. Her long and narrow eyes glanced at Zichen, then looked at Miao Miao with disdain. Little fox, you can still attract people. It seems like you are not telling the truth. The woman looked at Miao Miao with an unfriendly gaze. Miao Miao was a little uneasy. Stewardess, shut up, who is your sister? The woman glared at Miao Miao coldly, scaring her into silence. Then, the woman looked at Zichen. Foolish young master, don't blame me for not warning you. You have just arrived, and you have been tricked by this little fox. She does not have any ability to help you. Once you enter Sky Tiger City, you will definitely die without any ability to help you. I have a few good sisters, and they are all very capable. If you change your mind now, I will help you. The woman's expression was rather arrogant. No, no, Miao Miao shook her head, her face extremely pale. The old soldier at the side was also a little anxious. Zichen, who was standing at the side, silently took in everything. He shook his head and said, no need. Humph, don't worry about the so-called face. In this place, you can die at any time, so face is the most worthless thing. The woman said, although you are a fool, I have to remind you again that I can give you a chance to live. Zichen, who did not understand what was going on, shook his head again. The woman snorted, you don't know how to appreciate kindness. Chapter 47:54. The two of them raised their heads and left. Zichen was confused. He did not know what was going on. They were only at the third level of the pagoda of confinement, but they saw a city. They had not even entered the city, but there was already competition. Zichen looked at Miao Miao. She stood there helplessly with red eyes. The old soldier beside her was also uneasy. Zichen asked, can you tell me what is going on? Miao Miao's tears flowed down. The old soldier cupped his fists at Zichen and said, young master, after entering the Sky Tiger City, there will be competition. There may be death during the competition. Those in charge of receiving each have their own supporting abilities. After entering the city, they can help the people they lead. The old soldier shook his head. His expression was filled with disappointment. Zichen looked at Miao Miao, so you are saying that you do not have the ability to receive people? Miao Miao nodded and said with shame, I lied to young master. I hope young master can forgive me. What is wrong? It's just that I did not ask. Zichen said, being unable to receive people is actually different. Miao Miao bowed at Zichen and walked away. Looking at Miao Miao walking away, Zichen asked, I say, are you not going to send me into the city? Miao Miao turned around and bowed, young master, now that you know the truth, Miao Miao does not have the ability. After entering the city, I will not be able to help young master. Young master, please wait here for a moment. Zichen said, so you are not going to complete your mission? Didn't you say that receiving people is a sacred profession? Why are you going against your beliefs now? No, it's just that Miao Miao was at a loss. Zichen smiled, then I will have to trouble Miss Miao Miao to send me in. The old soldier at the side pursed his lips. He was extremely emotional. His turbid eyes were filled with tears. Miao Miao understood Zichen's meaning. She stepped forward excitedly and bowed at Zichen. I should be the one thanking you. Sorry for troubling you. Zichen smiled. Then, under Miao Miao's lead, they walked into the city. At this moment, Zichen was muttering in his heart. Did he accidentally enter another strange place, and not the third level of the pagoda of confinement? Seeing this scene, the old soldier couldn't hide the excitement in his heart. I knew that a kind child would have good luck in the end. Just as she reached the entrance, a woman walked out from the front. She looked at Miao Miao with unkind eyes. How dare you come in? Zichen waved his hand, indicating for Miao Miao not to worry. The two of them ignored the woman and walked into Sky Tiger City. The moment they entered the city, a ray of light descended from the sky and landed on Miao Miao's body. It was a beam of golden light. Miao Miao was bathed in the golden light, and there was a hint of holiness. The woman who followed them in looked at Miao Miao with eyes full of jealousy and resentment. She didn't come back. Instead, she turned around and left Sky Tiger City. The golden light around Meow Meow gradually disappeared. Zichen felt that her temperament had changed. Young master, after entering this city, Meow Meow's life is connected with yours. Although Meow Meow doesn't have any auxiliary abilities, Meow Meow will protect you with my life. Meow Meow said solemnly. You don't have to do that. If there is danger, you can leave first. I will buy you some time. Zichen said, however, you have to explain to me what is going on. If you want to survive in the Heavenly Tiger City, you need to be strong. The golden light from before was a gift from the Heavenly Tiger City. That is the first gift that every successful guest can receive. If you want to receive another gift, you need to rely on your own strength. Zichen barely managed to understand what was going on. Then, the two of them walked into the city. This huge city didn't give Zichen the first impression that it was prosperous. Instead, it was barren and dirty. There was a lot of trash on both sides of the street. Some children in tattered clothes were rummaging through the trash. When the children saw the two of them enter, their eyes were filled with reverence. They retreated step by step. However, when they saw Meow Meow, their eyes were filled with envy. Zichen's gaze swept across the group of children. Then, his expression changed. These people were all girls. Not a single boy. Could it be that they favored boys over girls? Just as this thought surfaced in Zichen's mind, Meow Meow said, Young master, are you wondering where all the boys have gone? Zichen nodded. He was indeed puzzled. They are all dead. Meow Meow said expressionlessly. Dead? Zichen was stunned. Why are they all dead? It is very difficult for boys to survive here. Meow Meow looked at the young children. Even for them, more than half of them will die in the future. Only a few will survive. Why? Zichen asked. Without ability, they cannot protect themselves. Under Meow Meow's expressionless face, there was more helplessness towards survival. Get lost. Suddenly, an angry roar came from the front. When Zichen looked forward, he saw a blade light. It was the strong man who came in earlier. He slashed the body of a little girl. Blood splattered. The little girl did not even have time to cry out before she fell into a pool of blood. In front of the little girl, which was at the feet of the man, was half a fruit that was not eaten. The man, who could have walked over, chose to attack with his blade. You are courting death. Next to the man, the waitress called Kong Kong stepped forward and kicked the dead little girl away. The other children in the surroundings were huddled together in fear. The man kept his blade and left with a laugh. The woman followed one step behind him with a smug smile on her face. Meow Meow's eyes were filled with anger. Some of it was directed at the man, but most of it was directed at the woman called Kong Kong. Isn't this a city? Is no one going to do anything about it? Zichen asked. Meow Meow shook her head. No, there is no law here. There is only life and death. Meow Meow seemed to be used to such scenes. She did not feel sad because of the little girl's death. When she walked past the little girl, she took a serious look at her as if she wanted to remember the little girl's appearance. The surroundings were still dirty and messy. Dirty little girls could be seen everywhere. They were like stray cats and dogs on the roadside. No one cared about them. As they went deeper, Zichen saw another wall. It looked like a new wall in the city. After entering the city through the gate, Zichen finally saw the bustling scene. Poverty and prosperity were only separated by a wall. Asterisk 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 asterisk. There were tall buildings here. People came and went on the streets. It was much livelier than outside. It had the prosperity that a city should have. Looking at the crowd, Zichen noticed that most of them were men and women. The men all had strong auras. The women should be waitresses. There were quite a number of them. Just as Zichen was paying attention to the crowd, the others also saw Zichen and Meow Meow. Zichen felt undisguised killing intent from many places. Young master, after coming here, everyone could be our enemy. Our goal is to survive and survive. Meow Meow solemnly reminded. What is considered to live? Zichen asked. At the very least, you have to have a place to stay. It is the residence that is often mentioned. Otherwise, the night will be very long and dangerous. Meow Meow looked around. There is no currency here. The most direct way to get something is to fight. Fight with who? Anyone. Meow Meow explained, the city lord only looks at one's strength. Once one's strength reaches the standard, the Sky Tiger Guards will naturally appear and arrange everything for young master. Can't I not fight? Zichen saw someone in the crowd walking towards them. You can, but you have to keep hiding until you can't survive. Meow Meow smiled and said, but as long as you come here, if you want to live, you have to fight. Fighting is the only way to survive. She walked forward and stood in front of Zichen. Then, she opened up a fist stance that was not standard. She did not have any aura. Perhaps she was not even comparable to an ordinary person. However, she still stood in front of Zichen and blocked the man and woman who were walking towards him. The man smiled disdainfully and said, little girl, don't be anxious. After I kill your man, I will treat you well. The others stopped and looked forward. They did not say anything about the man's words and address. This was the truth and also the reality. Behind the man, the woman's eyes were also extremely cold. However, this coldness was directed at Meow Meow. Since it is a sacred hospitality, I won't bother you with this kind of fighting and killing. Zichen walked forward and grabbed Meow Meow's wrist. Then, he pulled her behind him. Let me do this kind of thing. Zichen stood in front and watched the man charge forward. Behind the man, the beautiful woman began to form a seal. As the seal fell, a ray of light fell on the man's body. The man who was charging forward suddenly sped up. Like a ray of light, he went straight for Zichen. Young master, be careful. It's a speed ability. Meow Meow reminded in time. She, who did not have the ability, could only be anxious at this moment. As the light approached and was about to come into contact with Zichen, it suddenly stopped in front of Zichen as if it was blocked. Zichen grabbed the man's neck and forcibly stabilized the man's body. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. The woman behind him was also shocked. Even with such a speed, it was still blocked. Young master, be careful. Meow Meow's voice sounded again. In front of them, a ray of light appeared in the hand of the man whose neck was grabbed by Zichen. It was a sharp blade, which cut towards Zichen's arm. Chapter 47:55. Kai. Zichen let go of the man's neck, and the sharp blade missed. Zichen took the initiative to take a few steps back. The man stepped on the ground and came forward again. At the same time, he shouted, "Bitch, you still dare to be arrogant at a time like this?" The woman who had been following behind him formed a seal again. Rays of light flowed from her fingertips and entered the man's body. The man's body began to blur, and the space around him began to distort. Die. A cold voice sounded from Zichen's side, but the man had already moved to the other side. The sharp blade was directly aimed at Zichen's head. This was a diversion. He wanted to kill Zichen instantly. At this moment, the man realized that his arm had been blocked once again. Following that, a powerful and irresistible force attacked. The weapon that was originally aimed at the enemy suddenly changed direction and entered his body. It went straight into his chest and pierced his heart. The distorted light disappeared. The man stood there and looked at Zichen in disbelief. The woman behind him stopped what she was doing. Her face was as pale as paper. The man looked at Zichen. As soon as he opened his mouth, blood gushed out from his mouth. Naturally, he was interrupted. No one knew what he wanted to say. I admit that I'm kind, but kind people also have a bottom line. Moreover, I'm very good at killing. The man fell. A ray of light appeared from his body and entered Zichen's body. Zichen felt his body become warm. His original demon realm seemed to have improved. His eyes lit up. Could it be that he had encountered another place of opportunity? At the same time, another ray of light descended from the sky and entered Meow Meow's body. This was her second gift. "Sir, please spare my life." The woman in front immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. Zichen looked at Meow Meow. Meow Meow explained, after killing those people, It's up to young master to decide whether to stay or leave with them. Sir, I have the ability to support you. Please spare my life. In the future, I will be of great use to you when you go on expeditions. The woman hurriedly said. Zichen said, Meow meow, you decide whether she stays or leaves. Thank you, young master. Meow meow walked forward. Her hands also began to form a seal. It was a strange seal. As the seal appeared, rays of light flew out from the woman's body. These rays of light were all golden and somewhat similar to a gift. They entered Meow Meow's body. After losing the golden energy, the woman's complexion turned even paler. Despair filled her eyes. There's no need to be so sad. At least you're still alive. Compared to those who are already dead, you're much luckier. Furthermore, as long as you're alive, there's still a chance. Meow Meow's voice was very cold, and there was undisguised hatred in her eyes, but she did not kill him in the end. The woman left in a daze. However, everything was just as Meow Meow had said. Compared to those who had died, she was much luckier because she still had a chance to return. When the others saw this scene, a portion of them started to entertain him, as if they were grieving for him. Meow Meow turned her head and looked around. No one took the initiative to come over, which meant that their strength had not yet been recognized. She glanced at Zichen, but in the end, she did not say anything to ask her young master to continue fighting. Zichen, on the other hand, saw more information from Meow Meow's eyes. There were still many people here. If they did not have a decent place to stay at night, they might really be swallowed by the night. Zichen already had a target. He looked at the brawny man in the crowd and hooked his finger at him. Come on. The burly man was taken aback at first, but after confirming that Zichen was calling him, he laughed heartily and walked out. He carried the large saber on his shoulder and released a tyrannical aura. Wherever he passed, everyone avoided him. I'm not familiar with the people here, and I don't know who deserves to die. After thinking about it, I think it's better to kill you first. Zichen said to the brawny man, just as well, I think you deserve to die. A person who could draw his saber on an innocent passerby, moreover, he was a child. Even if he was kind, he could not be that kind. Therefore, if he needed to kill another person to prove himself, Zichen's choice would be to kill him. The girl named Kong Kong followed behind the brawny man. However, after seeing Zichen's strength, she no longer had the arrogance from before. Since it's a deterrent, let's end this quickly. Zichen's lips curled into a smile. Then, he chose to take the initiative to attack. In an instant, Zichen was already in front of the brawny man. You're courting death. The brawny man's saber quickly slashed down. Everyone only saw a flash of saber light, but it was not the brawny man's saber. The saber light was extremely fast, and it swept past the brawny man's body in an instant. It was so fast that the girl named Kong Kong did not have time to use her auxiliary ability. The saber light disappeared, and Zichen stood beside the brawny man. He looked at the brawny man and smiled. How do you feel? The brawny man's eyes gradually lost their light. The long saber in his hand fell to the ground, and his body fell to the side. When he landed, he was split into two. There was an uproar all around, and everyone subconsciously retreated. The girl named Kong Kong knelt on the ground with a thud. Her whole body was trembling. Zichen did not look at her. Instead, he turned to look at Meow Meow. Meow Meow's eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. Obviously, she did not expect young master to be so strong. It should be enough now, right? Zichen's voice woke Meow Meow up from her shock. Maybe it's enough. Just as Meow Meow was speaking, a light fell from the sky. This was the third gift. Zichen also received a light. He looked around. Wherever his gaze passed, everyone subconsciously retreated. If it's not enough, then I'll kill a few more. The crowd suddenly dispersed, and a person walked forward. He was wearing a standard armor, and he looked like a regular soldier. You're qualified. Come with me. The person looked at Zichen and said indifferently. Zichen looked at Meow Meow again. In fact, he had already guessed the person's identity from the other's expressions. Meow Meow nodded. Zichen said, then let's go. Master, Kong Kong greets Master. The woman kneeling there kowtowed to Zi Chen. Zi Chen did not look at her. Miao Miao stepped forward and directly took away the light on the woman's body. Hurry up. My time is limited. How can I waste it here? The guard who had just arrived said impatiently when he saw that the two of them did not move. Miao Miao immediately stepped forward, and the woman called Kong Kong walked out of the city empty-handed. She was unfortunate, but she was also fortunate. Miao Miao came to Zi Chen's side and stood there respectfully. The guard looked at Zi Chen and said unhappily, "Are you going or not? You only killed 2 people, and you think you're a big shot." Zi Chen said, "If I kill him now, do I need to be punished?" Everyone's expression changed, and they were very shocked. Miao Miao shook her head and said, "No, survival is the rule here." Swoosh. After Miao Miao's last sentence, Zi Chen had already disappeared. In the next moment, a beautiful saber light appeared in everyone's vision. The saber light flashed and disappeared. Chapter 4756. The old soldier leaned back in his chair, but this time, he could not fall asleep. He felt very nervous. He was happy for Miao Miao that she could finally enter the city, but he was also worried for the two of them. After all, entering the city was only the first step. After entering the city, the real difficulties would begin. Miao Miao did not have any abilities, so would the kind young master be able to deal with it? Just as his heart was filled with worry, he saw a person walk out. That person's eyes were lifeless, and it was evident that he was a failure. Looking at that person, the old soldier felt quite surprised because such an existence was very rare. Those who had lost would often be kept by the victors as servants. Thinking about that, the old soldier thought of Kong Kong. The person she had brought was evidently very powerful. Once the young master met that person, with Kong Kong's personality, he would not let Miao Miao off. Perhaps, thinking about this, the old soldier shook his head and tried to get rid of the distracting thoughts in his mind. At that moment, he saw another person walk out of the city. After seeing that person's appearance, he was quite shocked because it was Kong Kong. Why was she here? Where was the person she had brought in? Following this, an unimaginable thought appeared in his mind. Kong Kong walked past the old soldier, and the two of them did not talk at all. The old soldier sat there again and silently prayed that the girl called Miao Miao would never appear. Year after year, he did not see Miao Miao walk out of the city. Instead, he saw many failures. Such a situation should not have happened. Even in history, failures did not have such a high survival rate. It was not until one day, when 2 women walked out and talked about Miao Miao who had no abilities but was lucky, that the old soldier came back to his senses. At that time, the old soldier's face was covered in tears. That guard had been killed by Zi Chen with a single slash. The armor that the guard was wearing could not withstand a single blow from Zi Chen's weapon. The guard fell to the ground and died, and he and Miao Miao both received gifts. Looking at the corpse, Zi Chen gave a faint smile. Looks like it's really like that. He looked to the side and saw that everyone was retreating into the distance. This time, they retreated even faster than before. There was no doubt that Zi Chen had proven himself with his strength. The crowd parted, and a second person walked out. He was wearing the same armor, and when he saw Zi Chen, he cupped his hands and said, "Sir, please follow me." They had the same status, but this person didn't have the arrogance of the previous person, so he survived. Zi Chen and Miao Miao were led by the other party to the residence of the guards. Along the way, the windows of some of the buildings were open, and people could be seen through the windows. Behind those people, there was at least a woman standing to receive them. They looked at Zi Chen with complicated expressions. The people behind them looked at Miao Miao with complicated expressions. Clearly, he didn't have any ability at all. Clearly, he was an existence that everyone looked down on. However, with a single shake of his body, he actually had the status and identity that he currently had. Zi Chen was brought to the place where the guards lived. It was a standalone building, where Zi Chen saw his nominal leader. This leader was similar to a captain, and there were 3 women behind him. Looking at the newcomer, Zi Chen, he wanted to teach him a lesson. However, before he could reprimand Zhao Fu, Zhao Fu became a corpse and fell to the ground. The person who had brought Zi Chen turned and cupped his hands, saying, "Greetings, Lord Leader." Now, Zi Chen was once again promoted. Soon, someone brought over the leader's armor. As for his original residence, Zi Chen didn't have time to move into it, as he had to move into a bigger and better room. Miao Miao didn't keep any of the women, and they all went back. The subordinate who brought Zi Chen here was envious, but it was obvious that he did not have a share in this, and he did not have the right to choose. There were no rules in this world, but there seemed to be rules. After arriving at his new residence, the sky gradually darkened, and the day was almost over. This residence was very big. Zi Chen sat in the main hall, closed his eyes, and thought about everything that had happened today. Miao Miao was making the bed skillfully. After a while, Miao Miao, who had only covered up her beautiful body, came to Zi Chen's side, and said that they could rest. Rest meant sleep. Zi Chen, who was thinking with his eyes closed, was shocked. Even though he had guessed the relationship between both parties on the way here, Zi Chen was still against it when it was about to happen. Fortunately, Miao Miao only considered herself as a servant, and she didn't dare to use force. After Zi Chen strictly rejected her and said that each of them would sleep in a room, the matter of rest was settled. On the second day, other leaders came. Zi Chen asked these people, and those who were of the same level as him were ignored. On the other hand, as long as they were of a higher level, he would kill them in an instant, and then continue to advance. In this place, survival was continuous killing. Because of the limited resources, in order to obtain those resources, one had to kill those who had the resources. In this way, Zi Chen killed decisively. He killed small groups, large groups, and leaders. After that, he went on to kill even more powerful beings. In the end, Zi Chen was familiar with the rules here, and he acted like a fish in water. Until one day, Zi Chen, who had always been alone, was besieged. There were about 100 enemies, and each of them was accompanied by an assistant, and some of them had more than one assistant. Zi Chen was slightly stunned, and asked Miao Miao, "Is this okay?" Miao Miao nodded, indicating that there was no problem. At this moment, she was prepared to die in battle. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Zi Chen announced a pause in the battle, and then, in front of everyone, he let Miao Miao walk out of the battlefield. Then, with Liu Duan in his hand, he fought against these beings with his own strength, and finally, with his severely injured body, he killed all the enemies. On that day, Miao Miao cried as she watched the entire battle, and received the most gifts in her life. Zi Chen, on the other hand, had also gained quite a bit. Under normal circumstances, after the battle, Zi Chen would want to recruit a team, but he did not. He began to kill, no longer adhering to his principles. He killed as many as he saw one, and no one dared to take the initiative to provoke him. Once the name Zi Chen was mentioned, they had no other thoughts other than reverence and fear. Zi Chen's identity also changed again and again, and the armor on his body changed again and again, and its grade also became higher and higher. Miao Miao followed Zi Chen. She never left anyone here, and sent everyone away without harming their lives. It was worth mentioning that until now, Miao Miao had received countless gifts, but she still did not obtain any abilities. One day, the two of them took the initiative to walk out of the city. She went to see some pitiful little girls, and they were very happy to see Miao Miao. The two of them had known each other for a long time, and Miao Miao had been helping them in the past. Before Miao Miao left, she gave them a little bit of gift light. Finally, Miao Miao went to see the old soldier, and when the old soldier saw Zi Chen's armor, he immediately knelt down and saluted. Zi Chen knew that it was not because of the difference in level, but because the old soldier was grateful from the bottom of his heart. After doing this, the two of them returned to the city. After Miao Miao finished making the bed, she came to Zi Chen's side and said, "Young master, it's time to rest." Zi Chen looked at Miao Miao and said, "How about this?" Miao Miao looked at Zi Chen in confusion. Chapter 47:57. Hearing Zi Chen's words, Miao Miao was at a loss. She had no idea what Zi Chen was talking about. "Young master, don't scare Miao Miao." The change in young master's attitude made her a little scared. Zi Chen looked at Miao Miao. "Actually, I'm really tired." This kind of fighting and killing is really not what we want. Moreover, the game has been going on for a long time. It's actually quite good to end it like this. There was a touch of fear in Meow Meow's eyes. Young master, are you abandoning me? Do you think that I'll be a burden to you because I haven't awakened my ability? Zichen shook his head and said, don't be anxious. Sit here and listen to me slowly. Meow Meow came to Zichen's side and sat down. However, she was very frightened at the moment, like a helpless little beast. Zichen looked at Meow Meow. Since you don't quite understand, then I'll say it in another way. In my journey, I've never seen such competition in any of the cities I've passed. No matter how chaotic a place is, there are still rules. Meow Meow still shook her head blankly, indicating that she didn't understand. Zichen said, then I'll say it in another way. Or rather, I'll tell you a story that I know. This sentence was very simple. Meow Meow understood and nodded. Zichen said, I once passed by a place. It was a different place because there were no humans living there. All kinds of monsters lived there. After coming to this place, I saw a little fox. In order to survive, it lived a very difficult life. At that time, I followed the little fox to the place where they lived. Along the way, I saw many young foxes. They were at the bottom of the beast race and couldn't even guarantee their basic survival. Because they didn't have the ability to survive, they had to rely on other monsters to survive. If you're lucky, you'll be able to meet a powerful demonic beast. Then, you'll be able to live a good life. If you're unlucky, you might be cruelly killed before you can even grow up. Death is everywhere. Sometimes, a life might not even be worth half a fruit. While saying this, Zichen was thinking about the scene he saw on the road into the city. Those children were like little foxes. As for the guests, they were foxes that had grown up. They relied on the experts to survive. Those experts could be wolves, tigers, or leopards. That is not a world of humans, but a world of monstrous beasts. In that world, there are no rules, only slaughter and survival. Zichen finally looked at Meow Meow. As Meow Meow listened to the story, the confusion in her eyes gradually disappeared. When I reached that point, I was still unable to adapt to that world, because it was not a human world to begin with. However, I have already guessed the final direction of the shifter world. That little fox who had always been powerless, through her own efforts, finally led the Fox clan to become infinitely stronger. At the very least, they no longer had to rely on others to survive. Finally, Zichen asked, Meow Meow, what do you think of this story? At this moment, Meow Meow looked at Zichen. How could you tell? Zichen smiled and said, because this is not what a human society should be like. There is competition, but it is not competition without rules. Meow Meow said, in the past, many humans came here, but they never saw through this world. They were always competing here. Perhaps those people were too greedy, and this world magnified their greed, so they were unable to extricate themselves. Young master is indeed different. You are the first person I have seen in my life. Meow Meow's eyes regained their clarity. The city began to distort. Everyone living in the city disappeared like bubbles. In the blink of an eye, the entire city disappeared. Only this room remained. Therefore, this was still the third floor of the pagoda of confinement. Everything before was just Meow Meow's illusion. In the past, many people came here, but no one was able to reach this step. Meow Meow said, young master is the only one. But Meow Meow is not sure. When did young master discover this? Zichen said, at first, I had some doubts in my heart, but I was not sure. After a long period of contact, I felt that this was not a human life. So, when I thought about how we met and where I came from, I had this guess. Zichen continued, can I ask you a question? Young master, please ask. Since your goal was to lead the Fox clan to become stronger, why were you imprisoned here by Ji Shan in the end? Young master, it seems that you have understood many things before coming here. In fact, when Ji Shan imprisoned us here, it was to punish us. But more importantly, it was because he wanted us to save ourselves. How to save ourselves? Meow Meow shook her head and did not answer. It was unknown if she did not know the reason or if she did not want to say it. Zichen looked around. The room still existed as if it was real. He bitterly smiled and said, I still cannot see through this place. It seems that I will not be able to reach the next floor. Of course, the Miao Miao in front of him was not her original body. If Zichen was not wrong, her original body should be a fox trapped under the mountain. Unfortunately, he could not see this. To be able to reach this floor, he had already borrowed the light of refining flow. Now, it was obviously impossible for him to go any further. Zichen stood up and said, It seems that I have reached the end of my path. I should go back. Although it is only an illusion, it is fate that I met young master here. Miao Miao will remember young master. Please accept this. A red gem appeared in Miao Miao's hand. It was smaller than the Niden and looked like an open eye. Zichen was a little hesitant. This is something that Miao Miao obtained by accident. I found it very interesting and kept it. Young master, keep it. It may be of use in the future. Miao Miao smiled and said, This is the greatest sincerity that Miao Miao can show before parting. I hope young master will not dislike it. Since that's the case, I'll gladly accept it. Zichen stepped forward and took the gem. After sensing it in his hand, he did not find anything unusual. Of course, it could be that his ability was not enough. Young master, are you leaving now? Miao Miao looked at Zichen. Zichen nodded. Since he had reached the end of his path, he naturally had to leave. Go out of this door and keep walking forward. Young master, you will see the way back. Miao Miao pointed in the direction for Zichen to leave. Thank you. Zichen cupped his fists and left. Miao Miao kept staring at Zichen's back. After Zichen left, she muttered, Is it him? Zichen left Miao Miao's room and found that the surroundings were hazy. He could not see any other path apart from the path in front. Therefore, Zichen followed the path in front. When he reached the end, he saw a door. He entered the door. Chapter 4758. Zichen walked out of the door and found himself standing right outside the pagoda of confinement. He had made it out without a hitch. Looking at the red gem in his hand and sensing it again, Zichen still couldn't find anything else, so he put it away. He wondered how his friends were doing. His conversation with Miao Miao was actually quite stressful. At this moment, light suddenly appeared around him. Those who had entered the pagoda of confinement were actually coming out one by one. It seemed that the door wasn't just an exit, but also a key for everyone to leave. Soon, Zichen saw some familiar figures. It was Chung Ho and the others. Everyone had appeared together. After they appeared, they looked around and saw Zichen walking towards them. The demons near Zichen immediately retreated into the distance. How was it? Any big gains? The monk approached Zichen. Did you kill a few more kings? Zichen glanced at him and said, It's good enough that I made it out alive. I almost couldn't. At this moment, Zichen felt the aura of the Honorable King and Lei Zhenku. After the two appeared, they walked towards him. Obviously, they were coming for Zichen. Zichen took the initiative to walk forward. How was it? Lei Zhenku asked expectantly. Zichen smiled bitterly and said, After entering the third level, I encountered an illusion. I struggled a few times before escaping. I almost died inside. Illusion? Lei Zhenku was stunned. He couldn't believe it. Zichen said, It was a fox, but I didn't see its true form. I only saw a clone. Before I escaped, I didn't even see the entire third level. Lei Zhenku's expression changed. Even with your strength, you couldn't see through it. How strong is that fox? I don't know how strong she is, but I know one thing for sure. She's the same as the previous 2 levels. She's also trapped here. This news was shocking enough. At the very least, Lei Zhenku was shocked. Being trapped there and still being able to trick Zichen, what kind of strength did that require? However, the revered king disagreed. Master is the strongest. Lei Zhenku frowned slightly as he fell into deep thought. It seemed that there were still many things that he did not understand in this strange world. As a result, even the Saint Spirit realm became mysterious. Have you seen any lightning fields? Lei Zhenku asked again. Did he come in as well? Zi Chen shook his head in astonishment. Of course, it was just an act. Back then, Lei Zhangke had made it clear that he would not allow Zi Chen to enter through the Holy Thunder Clan's passageway. Although Zi Chen did not have any complaints in his heart, he still held a grudge against the Holy Thunder Clan's ruthlessness and indifference back then. Lei Zhenku nodded, indicating that he had no more questions. Zi Chen then took his leave. Those who were still alive all had smiles on their faces. From this, it could be seen that their gains were not small. There were also some who were excited because their king had been killed, so they had new ideas in their hearts. However, none of this had anything to do with Zi Chen. The group of them walked towards the periphery. The monk followed him and asked, "Where are we going now?" "Back, of course." "Back where?" "Saint Spirit Realm. Let's go to the Geduan Kingdom first. Back then, I promised Tree that I would complete something for him." Just then, a voice came from behind. It was Xiongling. Zi Chen then realized that Xiongling was not from the Geduan Kingdom, so she would not be going the same way as them. "Thank you for your help along the way. Seems like we won't meet again." Zi Chen looked at Xiongling and said, "I should be the one thanking you." Xiongling sighed. "Seems like we really won't meet again in the future." This strange world was like a prison that trapped everyone here. For existences like Xiongling, it was impossible for them to leave even if they wanted to. That might not be the case. Perhaps in the future, you will possess heaven-defying strength. By then, you will be able to leave this place easily and go wherever you want. Perhaps. Xiongling smiled. "I really hope that there will be a day when we meet again." After that, everyone bid farewell to Xiongling one by one. The others in the distance watched this scene. No one dared to move forward. They could only watch from afar. Among the protectors this time, Xiongling was definitely the biggest winner. This was because once Zi Chen left, she would be the only protector in this world. Zi Chen left this area and came to the inverted world entrance. He returned to the strange world. This was the border between the Geduan Kingdom and the Guqing Kingdom. Back then, King Guqing was scared away by Zi Chen's words. Zi Chen did not go to the kingdom where King Guqing was. Instead, he returned to the residence of the Geduan Kingdom. The white-furred rat, who had broken through to the demon realm, went to the residence first. Mai Yin was still following beside Zi Chen. The leader of the sharp blade dogs knew the location of the bamboo house. It was leading the way. However, before that, Zi Chen passed by the capital of the Geduan Kingdom first. Of course, it was only a castle. Zi Chen arrived outside the castle. He released his soul power and saw everything in the castle. The beautiful women inside were all illusions of spells. It should be the work of the butler. He did not stop here. Instead, he walked directly into the depths and arrived outside the bamboo house. Although it was called a bamboo house, it was actually a bamboo forest. It was similar to the forest controlled by the tree. When he arrived here, the bamboo house was closed. The entire small world was in a sealed state. Zi Chen used the power of laws and waved his hand forward. A straight beam of light shot forward, leaving a clear mark on the bamboo house. As the light disappeared, the mark outside the bamboo house also disappeared. Zi Chen was a little surprised. After all, he was no longer the same as before. Even if he did not use flow break, he was still a powerful existence. Courting death. A cold voice came from the bamboo house. Then, with a flash of light, a man appeared outside the bamboo house. When the man saw the formation in front of him, his expression changed. He shouted, "Who are you? How dare you behave atrociously in my bamboo house?" Zi Chen took out a knife. "Are you Zhu Xian?" "This is." The moment he saw the knife, the man's expression changed greatly. "Flow break knife. This is the king's flow break knife." "You, who are you?" Zi Chen stood with the knife. "I was entrusted by others to take your life. May I ask if you are called Zhu Xian?" You. The man looked at Zi Chen. His voice began to tremble, and he could not say a complete sentence. "It seems that you are." Zi Chen slashed down, and the man's figure disappeared. Then, Zi Chen's second slash fell. A huge crack appeared in the bamboo house. Zi Chen stepped out and entered the bamboo house through the crack. Through the crack, everyone saw a flash of saber light. Then, there was a scream from Zhu Xian. In just 3 slashes, the owner of the bamboo house died. In the distance, above a forest, the figure of the tree appeared. His gaze seemed to penetrate space and fell on the bamboo house. Chapter 4759. Zhu Xian had already been killed, leaving behind the entire bamboo forest. Everyone walked into the bamboo forest through the crack, and all they could see were glowing bamboos. These were bamboos that could be made into bamboo weapons, and their grades were all extraordinary. Any one of them could be kept as a treasure. To the current Zi Chen, these bamboo weapons might not be of much use, but in the Saint Spirit realm, each bamboo could be said to be a priceless treasure. Therefore, after Zi Chen killed Zhu Xian, he did not leave immediately. Instead, he chose the high-grade bamboos. The others followed, and then everyone began to chop these bamboos. They would be treasures if they brought them back. After coming to this world and encountering such an opportunity, it would be inexcusable if they did not take some of it back. Demons had their own independent space, so they would take as much as they could. Mai Yin also joined the team, and gave all the bamboos she got to Zi Chen. The white-furred rat went back first, and walked all the way to the outer area until it came to a place that looked like an altar. This place was deep underground, and other than it, no one else had come here. It conveyed everything that had happened recently through the altar. The so-called secret order came from here. After saying what had happened, the white-furred rat stood there respectfully, as if it was listening to something. After a while, the white-furred rat bowed respectfully to the altar, and then left. The monk hugged a bunch of bamboo weapons, and ran through the bamboo forest like a fat monkey. He was not a demon yet, and did not have an independent space, so the number of bamboo weapons he could keep was very limited. Therefore, he wanted to find those of the highest grade. Unfortunately, his speed was not as fast as Zi Chen's, and everywhere he passed, he would get what Zi Chen left. Zi Chen, leave me a good one, I don't have a good weapon yet. We can't be too selfish and only care about ourselves, and forget about everyone else. The monk started his usual style, and if he could not get what he wanted, he would ask for it shamelessly. Zi Chen curled his lips in disdain, and this guy still had the nerve to talk about others. Fortunately, he did not have the demon space, otherwise, it would have been filled to the brim. Tyrant looked at the bamboo forest and felt very indignant. The bamboo forest was huge and there were many bamboo soldiers. It was obvious that no one could take all of them, even if they had the demon space. Therefore, the monk ran out of the bamboo forest in time. He stamped his feet and shouted, "Come out!" A little mouse was shaken out. Although the rat couldn't speak, it was able to convey the monk's message. Therefore, after the monk finished his instructions, the rat burrowed back into the ground. Evidently, he had gone to look for the other monks. It had to be said that the monk's method this time was pretty good. Chung Ho, who usually did not care about anything, did not miss this opportunity and began to choose some suitable bamboo. Zi Chen arrived at the depths of the bamboo forest and saw the root of the bamboo sage. It was a gigantic, sparkling and translucent bamboo that reached the sky. It was an extraordinary dark green. Zi Chen did not hesitate to take away the sky-piercing bamboo. As for what benefits it had, he could slowly study it when he returned. In addition, there were some unique bamboos in the surroundings that were also collected by Zi Chen. After a sweep, most of the bamboo soldiers in the bamboo forest were taken away. When Zi Chen came out of the depths, he saw many people here. In addition to the people from the Buddhist domain, there were also people from the Saint Demon domain. When these people saw Zi Chen, they stopped what they were doing and greeted Zi Chen. Zi Chen responded to them one by one. When he came to the periphery, everyone was already gathered and ready. Tyrant was carrying a lot of bamboo on his back. It was almost full and he could barely walk. "You're planning to go back?" Zi Chen asked with a smile. Let's go back. Tyrant was somewhat impatient. He was very satisfied with his harvest this time. Compared to Tyrant, Su Mengyaro and the others were empty-handed. It was not that they did not look for bamboo soldiers, but they asked the demons to help carry them. However, Tyrant was a bit greedy. Not only did he ask the demons to help, but he also prepared a lot of bamboo. The protection this time is indeed not small. If we leave now, it's actually a good thing. The one who spoke was Ninghua. He was the guardian of the God Suppression Gate. Of course, he was also an ancient sage. In addition, Li Haoqing and the others had also become demons and had their own independent demon domain. It could be said that in this trip to the bamboo forest, more than 70% of the resources were taken by them, including the best part. Don't be in a hurry to leave. Let's go find Shu and the others and return the things to them. Zichen said. What things? Tyrant asked in confusion. Devil Ape and the other three nodded. When their weapons trapped the white-robed youth, they felt a connection with their main body. Moreover, these weapons coexisted with their main body. In their hands, the power of these weapons was obviously not as strong as the real masters. Even if it was an opportunity, it was an opportunity that the masters deserved. The group left the bamboo forest and walked into the distance. Then, the 4 weapons were returned one by one. They did not refuse because they needed these weapons to continue guarding here. They were the inner line of defense, while the 4 beasts were the outer line of defense. After bidding farewell to Danxiang and the others, Zichen saw the white-furred rat coming over. It should have come with the latest secret order. The white-furred rat came over and said, I just received news that the situation here has stabilized. There's no need to attack anymore. That meant that there was no need to kill those kings. Zichen wasn't someone who would kill indiscriminately, so he nodded. This matter is over. When do you plan on leaving? Asked the white-furred rat. Let's leave now. Zichen thought about it. There was nothing else to do, and he didn't know how the Martial Heaven continent was doing. It was best to leave as soon as possible. The white-furred rat retreated a few steps. In front of Zichen, space began to twist, and a channel appeared. As soon as the passageway appeared, Lei Tianche's eyes suddenly lit up. Found you. He brought Xue Wu with him and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared in the sky and reached out. A sphere of laws appeared in his hand. You're the one. He swallowed the sphere of laws in one gulp. At the same time, in another place, Lei Di, who was wandering aimlessly, sensed something. He came to a certain place and stomped his foot. A sphere of light appeared on the ground. Feeling the attraction from the sphere, Lei Di did not hesitate and directly absorbed it. In front of Zichen, the channel appeared. Zichen nodded to the beasts. The white-furred rat bowed to Zichen and said, Farewell, my lord. The other 3 beasts also bowed. Mayin also said, Take care. Chapter 4760. After the first entrance appeared, more entrances appeared, just like when Zichen left the pagoda of confinement. When those people saw the entrances, they were all stunned. They didn't expect it to appear at this time. This meant that the time for this trip to the strange world had come to an end. Everyone was hesitating whether to leave now. As for those natives who were already in the strange world, they immediately rushed toward the entrance. Obviously, this was a place where they could leave. They had been here for too long. Just as they approached, a unique rule appeared at the entrance, producing a strong repulsive force that forced those natives who wanted to enter back. Without exception, from the Yang realm to the king, they couldn't leave. The king looked at the passage that appeared in front of him, and his expression gradually became complicated. Looking at the failure of his subordinates, he smiled bitterly. It seems that we can't leave in the end. Lei Zhenku said, the situation between heaven and earth has changed. Perhaps in the near future, another path will open. The king looked at Lei Zhenku. Sir, you're not comforting me, right? Lei Zhenku shook his head and said, No, I also feel that the world has changed. It has become more unfamiliar. In this unfamiliar world, there are naturally more possibilities. Perhaps we will come back to this place again soon. Then, Lei Zhenku cupped his fists at the king. Thank you for your help in coming to this strange world. If I can find a way back, I will personally come and take you away. Thank you, sir. The king cupped his fists in response. The other demons also cupped their fists at Lei Zhenku. Lei Zhenku said, See you later. Then, he entered the passage. After his figure disappeared, the passage also disappeared. The Honorable King's figure swayed, bringing out several after-images. It turned out that the moment Lei Zhenku disappeared, he was unwilling to give up and wanted to try. Unsurprisingly, he didn't succeed. Looking up at a certain place, the king's eyes became cold for the first time. "Damn it, do you want to trap us here until we die?" This was said to the four beasts, but they might not be able to hear it. Naturally, they wouldn't respond. In other places, everyone entered the passage one after another. This trip to the strange world, no matter what the result was, came to an end. Asterisk 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 asterisk. With a flash of light, Zichen appeared under the tall lightning tree. Chung Ho and Han Enyu stood beside him. "Where's everyone?" Zichen was stunned for a moment. Then, he reacted and became depressed. Clearly, it had returned to where it had come from. Zichen had neglected this matter. If he had known this would happen, he would have said goodbye to everyone. "All three of you are back. How was it? Any gains?" A holy venerate from the demon-suppressing gate asked when he saw the three of them suddenly appear. "You didn't go this time, and your losses weren't small. Let me tell you, the rewards this time are huge." Chung Ho proudly took out an inner core and casually waved it. After the Saint Venerable sensed the aura in the Niden, his expression changed because he sensed a unique and powerful force. "This is..." His eyes widened as he stared at the inner core in disbelief. "The realm above supremacy, so it really exists. Moreover, I'm infinitely close to it." Chung Ho sighed. Then, he took out a bamboo and threw it to the Saint Venerable. "Why don't you try it?" After the Saint Venerable caught the bamboo and waved it a few times, he sensed the difference in the bamboo. Chung Ho was still showing off when the lightning tree began to shake. In an instant, even Zichen sensed the emotions of the lightning tree. "What's wrong?" Han Enyu raised her head and looked at the lightning tree. This was the first time she sensed such strong emotions from it. One had to know that it didn't even have such a big emotional change when someone stole a branch back then. The lightning tree shook again, and its emotions seemed to have stabilized. However, Zichen didn't know what it said. "What? You're saying that you might have forgotten something important?" Han Enyu was puzzled. "You've lived for a long time. What important things can you forget?" This time, the lightning tree's answer was that it didn't know. Both Chung Ho and Han Enyu didn't care too much. At this moment, Chung Ho came in front of Zichen and looked down at Zichen. "Kid, when I'm free, I'll send things to your friends and take a look at the beautiful scenery. Do you have anything you want to pass on?" Chung Ho's attitude made Zichen realize that after returning to the Saint Spirit realm, he was no longer the Tao protector who could even kill a king. He was Zichen, a 9-star Saint Spirit that was neither strong nor weak. And this was a holy Saint Spirit that was much stronger than him. "Nothing." Zichen shook his head. He naturally ignored Chung Ho's attitude. However, in his mind, he imagined that if they were in another world, he would patiently teach Chung Ho how to be a person. "Zichen, you should go back first. Your world has changed," said the holy saint from before. "What change?" Zichen had a bad feeling about this. "Those fellows you killed came back to tell the world that you've entered another world," said the holy saint. "Those I killed came back." Zichen didn't understand. "In that world, after dying, you don't really die. You'll be reborn on the martial heaven continent. However, this isn't absolute. If you were killed by an evil demon, you wouldn't be able to live." Chung Ho shrugged and said helplessly, "I thought you already knew, so I didn't warn you. Why didn't you say so earlier? Hurry up and send me there." Zichen was clearly nervous. "Don't worry. Although something has happened, with Liu Shangyaro here, the world will definitely still exist," said the holy saint with a smile. Zichen cupped his fists toward the holy saint and gave him 2 nidens. The holy saint gave Zichen a thumbs up and praised him. Cold Maiden came closer, and her energy immediately enveloped Zichen. Then the two of them disappeared. After Cold Maiden left, Chung Ho grumbled, "Why couldn't you personally take Zichen away? My little Cold Maiden and I went through so much trouble in that other world. We're exhausted. What's wrong with enjoying some time together? The holy saint said disdainfully, if you have the guts, tell me when Cold Maiden comes back. You have the heart, but you don't have the guts. Even if I were Cold Maiden, I wouldn't like you. You're courting death. Raged Chung Ho. Cold Maiden brought Zi Chen outside the martial heaven continent. Then Zi Chen saw that his world had become riddled with holes. Although his world energy was constantly healing those wounds, it wasn't very effective. That was because there were still many humans attacking outside the martial heaven continent. The restoration of the world energy would soon be broken through. Those people were surrounded by Thunder Force. They were actually from the Holy Thunder clan. Lei Zheng. Zi Chen's gaze immediately turned cold. Chapter 4761. Zi Chen's figure flashed, disappearing from his original spot. Other than anger, he was also worried. If the world had already become like this, then what about his friends? What about Jolina? And what about those existences who had fought for the continent for so many years without asking for any reward? Zi Chen arrived in the sky above the martial heaven continent. This place had long since been filled with the flames of war. The ancient trees that had once been there had been so resplendent that they were unrecognizable. The flames of war continued in the city, and many of the tree houses had already collapsed. It had to be known that back then, the Devil Race's army of 1,000,000 hadn't been able to reach this city. According to Zi Chen's calculations, even if another 1,000,000 came, they wouldn't be able to shake this world. But in this strange world, the world had actually become so resplendent. Releasing his soul energy, Zi Chen didn't sense the location of his clone, but he sensed Jolina's aura. Jolina's aura was extremely weak. She stood beneath the ancient tree king, surrounded by 3 9-star divine spirits protecting her. The ancient tree king had been able to rely on its own power to protect the city. But now, its branches had completely retracted, and the tree itself was in ruins. There was nothing to block the sky above the city. The battle in the city continued, but the battle on the ancient tree king's side was the most intense. Many Devil Race experts were charging forward, wanting to kill the ancient tree king. Of course, Zi Chen was more willing to believe that they were trying to kill the commander of the battlefield, Jolina. The other ancient trees were no longer as united as before. They were all fighting on their own, and the damage to them was immense. It was clear that the battle had gone on for a long time. The other ancient tree kings didn't even have time to form new trees after the ancient tree kings had fallen. The city was in a much worse state than Zi Chen had imagined. The only thing worth rejoicing over was that the city and the world were still there. They hadn't been lost. But looking at the current situation, they wouldn't be able to last much longer. Liu Shangyaro was in the ancient tree palace. The ancient tree palace that had once been a symbol had mostly collapsed. In the sky, Zi Chen's palace was also being attacked by a large group of divine spirits. However, no one had been able to break through it yet. Die. Luo Qi Shuang thrust out his sword, and a 9-star demon retreated. The 9-star demon glanced at the wound on his shoulder and smiled disdainfully. Let's see how long you can last. In the next instant, several 9-star devils charged over. Luo Qi Shuai gritted his teeth, hatred flashing in his eyes. Isn't it just a fight to the death? I've already died once, why would I be afraid of dying again? Jolina sensed Luo Chishurei's resolute attitude and immediately diverted her attention to stop him. Don't be impulsive, retreat quickly. Last time, Luo Chishurei had died in battle, and then relied on the resources left behind by Zi Chen to recover quickly. But this time, if he died in battle again, he, who didn't have a world of avatars, would really die. However, Jolina's words were clearly too late. Luo Chishurei was already surrounded by several demons. However, in the next instant, a beam of light suddenly appeared in the distance. With Luo Chishurei at the center, the nearby demons fell one after another. In the blink of an eye, they were all dead. Luo Chishurei was startled, and then he turned to look at the ancient tree hall. Could it be that Holy Sovereign had taken action? But according to their original agreement, Holy Sovereigns were not allowed to interfere. In the next instant, a voice rang out in his ears. Heal your wounds first. Leave the rest to me. Luo Chishurei's body shook. He clearly didn't dare to believe this was real. Just at this moment, light flashed in front of him. The person he hadn't seen in a long time had appeared. He was standing under the ancient tree king. In an instant, Luo Chishure's heart calmed down, and he felt extremely confident. Zichen, you. When Jolene saw Zichen, she immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Don't speak. Heal your wounds first. Leave the rest to me. Previously, Zichen had used the laws to sense the situation of the entire world. His three main forces were all injured, and they weren't just injured. The reason why the Tianwu continent was in such a predicament was because the three of them had lost control of their subordinates, and at the same time, they had lost the protection of the laws of heaven and earth. Zichen guessed that it was because their clones had been killed in an instant, so their will couldn't be transmitted. And the laws of heaven and earth only recognized Zichen, and no one else. It had to be said that this method had found their weakness, and it was a fatal blow. Buzz. Zichen stretched out his hand, and the laws of heaven and earth began to surge, gathering towards Jiano. Then, Zichen's voice rang out in the consciousness of all the living beings in the world through the laws. Everyone, listen to my command. Using the laws of heaven and earth, Zichen's voice resonated, and all the living beings knew that the Lord of the world had returned. Naturally, Zichen took over the control of all the living beings. All small teams, gather. Zichen's order was directly given to the leaders of the black ants. One by one, the black ants quickly burrowed into the ground, then walked towards the place where the leader had summoned them. The mother nest creatures also quickly gathered, no longer fighting on their own. Their individual combat strength wasn't strong, but when grouped together, they were the most terrifying existences. In the blink of an eye, the black ants that had disappeared walked out of the ground once more, but this time, they formed teams. After the baptism of blood and fire, they had become even more murderous and cruel. Under Zichen's command, the black ants attacked the nearby demons. The mother nest creatures did the same, beginning to attack in an orderly manner. Through the laws of heaven and earth, Zichen could easily see the changes in the battle situation, so in a short period of time, he issued tens of thousands of orders. And these orders were transmitted through the laws of heaven and earth, so they were carried out very well. The beings on the battlefield found that their opponent's fighting style had changed. From being unable to withstand a single blow, they were now fighting as one. It was like a flock of sheep had turned into a pack of wolves in the blink of an eye. Just as they were stunned, they found that the ancient trees around them were disappearing one by one. They entered the ground, and soon, large spaces appeared one after another. Just as this space was being emptied, in another place, in the surroundings of some of the tree kings, ancient trees began to grow one after another. They joined together, forming a new no-fly zone. The vitality contained in the earth, the laws of heaven and earth, crazily flowed toward the ancient tree kings. The ancient tree kings, which had been exhausted and weak, immediately became full of vitality and energy. In an instant, all the living beings on the martial sky continent became spirited and full of fighting spirit. Because at this moment, all the living beings knew that the master of the world had returned. In the sky, Zichen's palace, which had not been taken down for a long time, suddenly began to tremble. A ray of true light was released from the palace, and the entire world was enveloped by this ray of light. Zichen's palace protected the entire martial sky continent. Or rather, it was besieged. Chapter 4762. Zichen's voice rang out in this world. Hearing this voice, the demons' expressions changed drastically. They naturally knew who the owner of this voice was. Then, they understood why the foreign race's fighting methods had changed. Zichen had returned. He had taken over this world and made up for all its shortcomings. Hordes of foreign races appeared from one spatial gate after another. They were all from the mother nest. At the same time, the queen ant, who had been replenished with vitality underground, began to deploy its hidden forces to fight. Although they were caught off guard and did not have the advantage they had in the past, Zichen had returned. With the help of the world's power, everyone was full of confidence. In Zichen City, under the guidance of ancient tree king Jiano, Zichen, who had transmitted the battle message, closed his eyes. In his perception, 9-star holy spirits appeared one after another. There were demons and spirits. Zichen opened his eyes and said, "Fall." The laws of heaven and earth became chaotic. Light appeared one after another, forming thunderbolts that appeared in the sky above each city and fell down. Every bolt of lightning struck precisely where the 9-star Saint Spirit was. Wherever the thunderbolts passed, there was a continuous roar. 9-star Holy Spirits fell from the sky one after another. After falling to the ground, there was no sign of life. Dead. The 9-star Holy Spirits of the demons were all dead, and so were the spirits. Tasha looked at the 9-star Holy Spirits who had died in front of her. Covered in blood, she smiled. Not far away, an 8-star Holy Spirit shouted in horror, "Lord Zichen, we're on the same side, we're on the same side. We're from the Holy Thunder Clan. We're on the same side." Suddenly, a ray of light flew from the side, and the 8-star Holy Spirit's head was cut off. An old man came to Tasha's side. "Miss, are you all right?" Tasha shook her head. Her smile disappeared, but her eyes were full of killing intent. Kill, leave no one alive. This time, it was not only the demons who came to attack, but also the Holy Thunder Clan, and there were many of them. After Zichen's return, he didn't go so far as to differentiate between the two parties. Instead, he treated all invaders as enemies. This included the invaders from the Holy Thunder Clan. The old man nodded and charged to the side. At that moment, everyone regained their confidence. On the one hand, it was because Zichen had returned. On the other hand, it was because Zichen had killed the 9-star Saint Spirit. The pressure on them had been greatly reduced, and they were naturally able to bully the weak. Liu Shangyaro walked out of the tree hall and glanced at the battle. "You came back in time." Han Enyu didn't follow, but she didn't leave either. She just watched from afar. She saw the changes in Zichen's world and the shocked expressions of the members of the Holy Thunder Clan. Obviously, they didn't know what had happened in Zichen's world. It was just that the defense that could be easily broken through had suddenly become many times stronger. "We can't let this world heal, or else the people inside will be in trouble," someone shouted from the periphery. Everyone continued to attack, and they used one trump card after another. However, this time, the world's defense seemed to have become indestructible. It was impossible to break through. "Go find the Lord." After a full quarter of an hour, someone finally realized that something was wrong and decided to report the situation. The others continued to attack. Asterisk 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 what? The world's defense can't be broken? After hearing the news, Leijing Hongtian suddenly stood up and said, "This world is already riddled with holes. It's impossible for there to be a strong defense. Is it that damned saint who disregarded the rules and attacked? I'm not sure. In short, our attacks suddenly became ineffective. We used the trump card the Lord gave us, but it still didn't work. Damn it, it must be that saint. Well, since you're so shameless, don't blame the Holy Thunder Clan for not giving you face." Leijing Hongtian immediately walked outside. "I'll go find the old ancestor. I want to see if that Saint Venerable has eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. He actually dares to challenge our sacred Thunder tribe." As soon as he walked out of the door, a person hurried toward him. It was Mr. Wu, who was responsible for planning in the family. "Mr. Wu, you came at the right time." Before Leijing Hongtian could finish his words, he found that Mr. Wu's face was very ugly, so he changed his words and asked, "What happened?" "Ask those people to come back. There's news that the people from the other world have returned." "What?" Leijing Hongtian's face changed instantly. Now he finally understood why there was an abnormal situation. It was not that the saint had violated the agreement, but that Zichen had returned. As the ruler of the world, no shortcomings would appear once he returned. This was troublesome. Leijing Hongtian was very unwilling when he thought that his many years of planning would be ruined today. "Young master, it's better not to think about other things at this time. Ask everyone to come back quickly. What we should be worried about now is Zichen's revenge," Mr. Wu said. "Revenge?" Leijing Hongtian laughed sarcastically. "Are you sure he has the guts to retaliate? He's just a guy who was expelled by the Holy Thunder Clan. He has no power to protect him. How dare he come to the Holy Thunder Clan and behave so atrociously? Well, I'll let him go this time. Next time, he won't be so lucky. Lei Hongtian waved his hand, indicating that the troops stationed outside should return. However, Lei Hongtian soon noticed the problem. What about the people we sent in? Back then, many people had entered Zichen's world. They had entered with a mission, and those people had yet to come out. Mr. Wu smiled bitterly and said, "Of course those people can't come out. If they did, it would be troublesome." Lei Zhenghong understood what the other party meant, but in his heart, he was quite unwilling. Was he so worried about Zichen's revenge? It was just Zichen, after all. He was just one person. What could he do? The war in the Tianwu continent was still ongoing. However, after Zichen's army regrouped and formed a large scale, the outcome of the war was already decided in advance. In addition, Zichen used his methods to kill all the 9-star holy spirits, which sped up the end of the war. During this time, many people from the Holy Thunder Clan shouted loudly, calling them their own people. Of course, Zichen wouldn't care. Anyone who came here was an invader. And the invaders were the enemy. With the nourishment of the Earth's rules, Jiano's injuries gradually recovered, and he regained control of the battlefield. In the battle in the city, the tree houses gradually began to help. In times of peace, they were buildings for people to rest and cultivate. However, in times of war, they were soldiers who could go to the battlefield. The mother nest and the queen and also took over their respective teams and began to use their unique methods to encircle and kill the invaders. The war no longer required Zichen's control. Everything was proceeding naturally. Zichen, who was free, cupped his fists in the direction of the treehouse and thanked them. Liu Shangyao, who was standing outside the treehouse, nodded slightly at Zichen. If not for Liu Shangyao, Zichen might not have been able to see the Tianwu continent. Jolina was more mentally exhausted. During this time, she had been relying on Jiano's power to command the battle. Chapter 4763. Hearing Jolina's explanation, Zichen's expression gradually became unsightly. Back then, when he had left, his clone had told Jolina that he had lost contact with his main body. However, back then, no one had known that Zichen had left. His clone had followed Zichen's instructions and occasionally revealed itself, causing people to think that Zichen had missed this grand occasion. But for some reason, rumors began to spread that Zichen had gone to another world and had only left behind a clone. Not long after, a new order came from the sacred Thunder race, asking Zichen's Sky Martial continent to fight against the Demon Clan. It was all written. Although it was very unyielding, neither the clone nor Jolina cared. After all, the Martial Heaven continent no longer belonged to the Holy Thunder Clan. They had no right to command the Martial Heaven continent. Until one day, Lei Zheng suddenly came to this world to denounce them. First, he killed the clone with a single palm, then he quickly attacked the ancient tree king Jiano, causing Jiano to lose control of all the ancient trees. The Ant Queen and the Mother Nest were also affected, causing the entire world to descend into chaos. If Liu Shangyao hadn't arrived in time to stop him, Lei Zheng would have destroyed the Martial Heaven continent on his own. But even so, when he left, he had created a few gaps in the sky of the Martial Heaven continent. The Martial Heaven continent had suffered heavy losses, and the Devil race had taken advantage of that to attack. In a very short time, millions of soldiers had descended. At the same time, the Holy Thunder Clan had used the name of helping the Martial Heaven continent to wreak havoc in this world, fighting over some resources. Jolina had been the first to be affected. She had been lucky enough to survive, and it had been difficult for her to command the battle. In the face of this crisis, those who should have left have all left. Those who remained have risked their lives to protect the Martial Heaven continent. Their losses aren't small. Many of their main bodies have been destroyed, but their clones have survived. It's just that if they want to recover to their peak, I'm afraid. Jolina bitterly smiled. After this battle, the Martial Heaven continent had truly suffered heavy losses. It would take many years for them to recover. Zichen said without hesitation, for those who have lost their physical bodies, focus on nurturing them. Don't worry about resources. I will think of a way. Jolena nodded and said, in addition to those who left and those who stayed, there were also a lot of people who suddenly betrayed us. This kind of betrayal caught us off guard, so some of our losses were in this aspect. Don't leave a single one of those people alive. Then, investigate the identities of the families they belong to. After that, we'll go and reason with them. Zichen said calmly, but Jolena could feel the anger in Zichen's heart. No one would be in a good mood if their world was destroyed after a trip out, even if they were about to wipe out all the invaders. From now on, you will be fully responsible for this matter. The battle can end a bit later, but those traitors absolutely cannot be let off. Jolena nodded. After recovering from her injuries and Zichen's return, she returned to her usual swift and decisive manner. She quickly passed down orders and had the intelligence personnel withdraw from the battlefield. Then, she began to investigate the existence of those traitors. After all, Jolena had a record of everyone who lived here for a long time. As long as the record was not lost, it would be easy to investigate. Zichen came to the tree hall and personally expressed his gratitude to Liu Shangyao. Kid, there's no need to be so polite with me. Liu Shangyao smiled and asked, did you gain anything in this strange world? This was just a casual question. Liu Shangyao clearly didn't think that Zichen would gain anything special. Zichen's hand flashed and an inner core appeared. Liu Shanyao's smile froze and his expression changed. This is a type of inner core that has a high possibility of allowing the ancient Holy Venerable to advance further. Zichen tossed the inner core in his hand. In this strange world, this level is called the demon. Liu Shanyao subconsciously caught it and then said in disbelief, so, the realm above the ancient Holy Venerable really exists. It might not be higher than the ancient Holy Venerable, but it's definitely stronger than the ancient Holy Venerable. Zichen smiled. Senior, are you interested in following me to the Holy Thunder Clan? Liu Shanyao's expression was difficult. Lei Zhengke already knows of your existence. This time, he even met Chung Ho in this strange world. So, there's no need to deliberately avoid him. Zichen guessed the other party's concerns. Liu Shanyao gritted his teeth and said, how about giving this inner core to me? After saying that, Liu Shanyao felt a little ashamed. After all, he was an ancient Holy Venerable. Now, he was asking for something from a junior. Moreover, no matter how he looked at it, he was taking advantage of the situation. Zichen took out 2 more inner cores and threw them to Liu Shanyao. Liu Shanyao was stunned. He had shamelessly asked for one, but the other party gave him 2. He subconsciously asked, do you have a lot of these? Not a lot. Actually, the main thing is that we don't have enough time. There are many creatures with inner cores, but we have to kill them one by one. Zichen sighed. Originally, Chung Ho had the chance to get more. Unfortunately, he was too lazy. He didn't kill the inner cores even when they were right in front of him. He even said that these things were useless to him. Chung Ho! I'll kill him. Liu Shanyao gritted his teeth and then fell into deep regret. If he knew that there was such an opportunity, he would have gone to the strange world. He had missed out on too much. The battle in the Tianwu continent was not over yet. Zichen, the World Lord, had already left. He went to the Holy Thunder Clan's area. The people here did not know that Zichen had returned, so they were still discussing the recent situation of the Tianwu continent. Everyone felt that it was a pity. An unbreakable world was actually taken down just like that. Moreover, it was done by an insider. Yes, even now, there were still many people from the Holy Thunder Clan who saw Zichen as one of their own. As for the Lei Jing family, their impression of him was getting worse and worse. However, because all the saint sovereigns had gone to the strange world, Lei Zheng had become the undisputed #1 person of the Holy Thunder Clan. Naturally, he could do whatever he wanted. Suddenly, a huge tremor sounded. A building supported by a formation collapsed, and the aura of the formation after it was destroyed shook the area. Such an unforeseen event caused a huge commotion. Many people walked out and saw clearly what the building was. It was a treasure store in the outer area. Not only was it famous, but the power behind it was even more powerful. It was the Lei Zheng family. However, why was such a great treasure shop forcefully destroyed? Who had such guts? Or was it that they had been cheated so badly that they became anxious? Just as everyone was puzzled, the dust in front of them dispersed, and a young man's figure appeared. After seeing the young man's appearance, the crowd went into an uproar. Zi Chen. It was Zi Chen. Chapter 4764. When they saw Zi Chen, many people's expressions changed. Didn't Zi Chen go to the other world? Why is he here? Did he return from the other world? Even so, Zi Chen's world was under siege and was in imminent danger. Why would he be here and destroy the Lei Zheng family's auction house? Just when everyone was stunned, an angry roar sounded. Which guy is courting death? How dare you come to the Lei Zheng family's territory and behave so atrociously? A person quickly rushed out from the ruins and went straight to Zi Chen. With a bang, that person fell back into the ruins, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Zi Chen did not say much and walked straight ahead. In just a few steps, Zi Chen arrived at the teleportation array. Ripples appeared, and Zi Chen's figure disappeared. Only then did the whispers of the crowd begin. What's going on? Did Zi Chen come back from the other world? Why didn't he go back? Why did he come here? You don't know about this. According to the latest news, Zi Chen's world has re-established its defenses. People outside can't go in, and people inside can't come out. So Zi Chen has already taken control of the situation after returning? Should be. Then what are we waiting for? This time, Zi Chen is obviously here for revenge. Let's go, or there won't be any seats left. Only then did the others react and immediately ran towards the teleportation array. When they arrived, the teleportation array was already in a congested state. There were too many people who wanted to follow. Obviously, many people wanted to watch a good show. As for the teleportation fee, they naturally did not care. When they arrived at the second planet city, the auction house that belonged to Lei Zheng had already been turned into ruins. Let's go, Zi Chen has been going deeper. Someone shouted loudly because Zi Chen's figure had already disappeared. There were also some people who got the news early and immediately ran to the next place because Zi Chen was likely to come here. As expected, not long after, Zi Chen appeared. He must have received accurate information and came to a weapon shop. Zi Chen didn't make any other moves. He simply stomped his foot, and the array formation of the weapon shop instantly collapsed. The entire building collapsed, and cries of alarm came from inside. Zi Chen did not kill anyone. He only destroyed the buildings. It was revenge. It was also a slap to the Lei Zheng family's face. It was clear that they had shed all pretense of cordiality. Didn't you attack my world? I don't need to find a reason. I'm here to find trouble with you. Zi Chen, how dare you go against the Holy Thunder clan? Do you want to die? A person rushed out from the ruins and shouted at Zi Chen. Zi Chen raised his hand and pointed with a finger. A bolt of lightning pierced through the other party's forehead, and the other party fell to the ground, dead. This was the first person Zi Chen had killed after destroying more than 10 of the Lei Zheng family's properties. The spectators knew very well that the other party was courting death. This was because he had used righteousness and wanted to use the sacred Thunder tribe to suppress Zi Chen. This was the most shameless part of him. A man should take responsibility for his own actions. If the Lei Zheng family wanted to find trouble with Zi Chen, why did they have to bring the Holy Thunder clan along? Zi Chen continued to move forward. This time, not only did he destroy a shop, but he also destroyed a famous workshop. The workshop specialized in refining weapons. Before this, no one knew that this workshop belonged to the Lei Zheng family. This loss was much greater than what he had expected. More and more people followed Zi Chen. This was because Zi Chen was obviously going to kill his way to the Lei Zheng family. A young man stood in the air. His eyes were cold and his face was ashen. He was one of the people in charge of the peripheral area. Almost all the properties that Zi Chen destroyed were under his jurisdiction. After hearing the news, he immediately rushed over. A light flashed in front of him. Zi Chen's figure appeared from the teleportation array. The young man stared at Zi Chen and shouted angrily, Zi Chen, do you still have the Holy Thunder Clan in your eyes? Zi Chen raised his hand and pointed. This 8-star Holy Spirit fell to the ground and died. The spectators around them shook their heads. This guy didn't know how to speak. He died for nothing. Immediately after, the properties that belonged to the Lei Jing family in this city were destroyed. Many people were shocked. This was because they didn't know that the Lei Jing family, which was so famous among the Holy Thunder Clan, was not only the #1 family in the core area, but also had so many properties in the peripheral area. However, this time, these properties were all taken out by Zi Chen. Even if these properties were to recover in the future, they wouldn't go. Zi Chen, your actions have violated the rules of the Holy Thunder Clan. If you know what's good for you. Before he could finish speaking, this 9-star Holy Spirit who was blocking the way died. Everyone understood now that they couldn't mention anything about the Holy Thunder Clan. If they did, death would be the only result. It was obviously impossible to use the Holy Thunder Clan to suppress Zi Chen. Finally, a member of the Lei Jing family appeared. This was a middle-aged man. He looked at Zi Chen and said indifferently, Zi Chen, you are wantonly destroying things. Are you trying to start a war with the Lei Jing family? Zi Chen looked at him and said his first words after coming here. You are Lei Jing Mo. I. The other party seemed to want to take the initiative to introduce himself. However, before he could finish, Zi Chen's attack came and he died in the same way. Start a war? Do you think you're worthy? Looking at the other party who died, Zi Chen said disdainfully, who else is from the Lei Jing family? Can you please step forward? The people that were originally standing behind Lei Zhengmo immediately shook their heads and stepped back. Hey, the young man who retreated, why are you shaking your head? Haven't you always considered yourself as a member of the Lei Jing family? Why, don't you dare to admit it now? A voice suddenly sounded from an unknown place. In the retreating crowd, the others subconsciously looked at the young man in the middle. The young man's expression changed instantly. However, before he could curse, a ray of light appeared in front of his eyes. The young man fell to the ground and died. Hey, you lackey, don't run away. Aren't you usually very powerful? That voice sounded again. It was from someone who was standing beside the young man. Seeing the young man die, he wanted to escape. The ray of light appeared again and the other party died. No one knew where the two voices came from. Moreover, because of the different sound quality, they might not even be the same person. After killing the 3 people, Zi Chen left. The crowd followed behind him. The voices from before had given them a lot of inspiration. Clearly, this was the time to take revenge for any grievances they had against each other. One had to know that Lei Zheng's huge family had bullied others many times. If they missed this opportunity, would they have another chance to take revenge on the Lei Jing family? After figuring this out, the rest of the people became much more active. When they saw the new group of people, they began to point out each other's identities. Zi Chen didn't refuse any of them. He killed them one after another. Just like that, he killed his way into the depths. It seemed that Zi Chen was planning to kill his way to the core area where the Lei Jing family was located. This caused the crowd to go into an uproar. If a giant like Lei Zheng was killed by Zi Chen alone, that would be too shocking. Chapter 4765. In the crowd that followed them, there was a pair that looked like a grandfather and a grandson. In the crowd, the two of them looked very inconspicuous. They were even insignificant. They had seen the previous battle clearly. How do you feel now? Zi Chen stepped into the teleportation matrix and went to the next place. The old man turned his head and asked the young man beside him. The young man shook his head. Very powerful, even more powerful than expected. I'm afraid I'm no match for him. The old man smiled slightly. Be more confident. Remove the word afraid. You are indeed no match for him. After returning from the other world, he is like a fierce tiger returning to the mountain and a true dragon returning to the sea. He is unique and will be invincible among those in the same realm. The young man was Shen Hao, who was killed by Zi Chen in the other world. He didn't die. After being resurrected, he followed the Great Elder to the Divine Spirit realm. He wanted to see the scenery of the divine spirit realm and see this mysterious and rich world. He had just walked to the Holy Thunder Clan's area when he unexpectedly met Zichen. Along the way, he also heard some stories about Zichen. However, he didn't understand. Shouldn't the clan nurture such an awe-inspiring Zichen? Why did they target him everywhere? When he approached the Holy Thunder Clan's area, he learned that Zichen's world was under siege. Moreover, it was the holy sages of the Holy Thunder Clan who acted decisively and broke all the lifelines, causing the defense to be greatly reduced. This made him even more puzzled. The old man glanced at Shun Hao beside him and said, "You are the pride of this generation. You are the one and only existence in the Shun clan. You must be more confident. You are no match for Zichen. There is nothing to be ashamed of. After all, he has cultivated for 2 lifetimes to achieve what he has today. In the future, the first one to lose the right to compete for the great path will be someone like him, who is neither fish nor fowl and opportunistic. You are no match for him now, but that doesn't mean you will be no match for him in the future. You should set your sights further." Shun Hao nodded. He understood what the great elder meant. "Let's go. It is fate that we can meet Zichen here. Let's go deeper and take a look. If we can help, we must do so." The old man walked forward, and Shun Hao followed beside him. He knew what the great elder meant by helping. It was nothing more than reminding Zichen of the identity of the opponent so that Zichen could kill a few more. The 2 different voices from before were spoken by him under the ancestors' instructions. However, when they went deeper into the crowd, Shun Hao realized that he was no longer needed. This was because there were many people who hated the Lei Zheng family. At this moment, they were hiding in the crowd and could easily identify the members of the Lei Zheng family. It was even more detailed than the information he had received at the last minute. "Why?" As they moved forward, Shun Hao asked the question that had been bothering him, "Why are you doing this?" The old man smiled mysteriously and said, "Because the invincible Zichen needed enemies. Otherwise, how could he have died?" Looking at Zichen in front of him, the old man said, "I have a feeling that when Zichen dies, it will be the time when the world truly changes. Therefore, he must die." Finally, a powerful figure appeared in front of them. It was the genius of Lei Zheng's lineage, Lei Zheng Hongtian. Lei Zheng was wearing armor, and he looked radiant. His eyes were like cold lightning, and he was aggressive. Of course, in front of Zichen, he could not be called a genius at all. He had been killed by Zichen many times. "Zichen, you are quite bold, aren't you?" Lei Zheng Hongtian stared coldly at Zichen. Behind him, there were more than a dozen 9-star holy spirits. It was obvious that he was well prepared. Zichen did not talk nonsense. He walked straight forward, and the aura around him began to surge. This was a sign that he was about to kill someone. Lei Zheng Hongtian shouted, "Zichen, let me give you a piece of advice. If you dare to move forward again, you will be provoking the Lei Zheng family and the entire Holy Thunder clan." The 9-star holy spirits behind him stepped forward one by one, and their killing intent surged. The threat was ineffective, so Zichen made his move. His body flickered like a stream of light, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared behind Lei Zheng Hongtian. Along with the sound of thuds, the 9-star holy spirits fell one after another. When Zichen returned to his original position, Lei Zheng Hongtian was the only one left. "You!" Lei Zheng Hongtian was shocked and angry. He had brought all the experts with him, and each of them had extraordinary abilities. However, in front of Zichen, these people had no power to fight back. "Zichen, I can give you a chance to turn back. Otherwise, you must know the consequences," Lei Zheng Hongtian said again, but his voice was not as strong as before. "Since you were chosen by them to die, I will fulfill your wish." Zichen stretched out his hand and grabbed the void. Lei Zheng Hongtian's body began to rise into the air as if someone was choking him. In the next moment, Zichen's right hand moved like a blade, and Lei Zheng Hongtian's head flew high. The crowd was in an uproar again. Lei Zheng Hongtian had been beheaded in front of everyone. This was a huge matter. Regardless of whether he was really dead or just faking his death, the Lei Zheng family's face had been damaged. Lei Zheng Hongtian was the future heir of the Lei Zheng family. If the Lei Zheng family had been in a state of tolerance before, they obviously would not tolerate it anymore. Sure enough, just after Lei Zheng Hongtian was beheaded, the space in front of them began to distort, and the aura of a holy sage appeared. A holy sage. Everyone stepped back in horror. They looked ahead, wondering if Lei Zheng had appeared. It was not Lei Zheng, because he was not a holy sage, but a half-step holy sage. This was normal. Because once a holy sage appeared, they could not kill Zichen. You, an outsider, destroyed my Lei Zheng family's business for no reason. Not only did you challenge the dignity of the Holy Thunder Clan, but you also did not put my Lei Zheng family in your eyes. You killed my people along the way, and now you even killed my young master. Zichen, how dare you? The half-step holy sage said the same thing again. However, this time, Zichen did not attack immediately. Instead, he said, "Don't you know the reason?" Me. You bastard, do you need me to tell you the reason for coming here to commit murder? The half-step holy sage snorted. Zichen looked behind the half-step holy sage and asked, "Just you?" The half-step holy sage did not understand Zichen's meaning. Lei Zhang is a big family, and sacred venerate Lei Zhang is shameless to the extreme. Now that such a big thing has happened, why did they send a half-step sacred venerate like you? Zichen sneered. How presumptuous. Don't be rude to the clan head. The half-step holy sage said indifferently, "Even if I appear alone, I can kill a bastard like you." Zichen shook his head and said, "I don't know if you can kill me or not, but I know one thing. Sending only you is not very impressive. That old bastard Lei Zheng dares to stick his old face to his butt and destroy my world. Why does he not dare to send a few more half-step holy sages?" The crowd behind remained silent. However, they all felt extremely excited. Calling Lei Zheng an old bastard really vented their anger. However, everyone felt somewhat worried. How would Zichen deal with this half-step holy sage from the Lei Zheng family? Zichen's response was actually very simple. He took out flowing break and chopped down. As the bright saber arc sliced through the air, the half-step holy sage in the air fell to the sides. Chapter 4766. This slash seemed to have vented all of Zichen's anger. After the half-step holy master was cut in half, Zichen turned around and left. Relying on his anger, he walked from the periphery to where he was now. He destroyed more than 100 shops and dozens of workshops belonging to the Lei Zheng family. Even for the huge Lei Zheng family, this was a huge loss. The main thing was that he had killed many people. This was against the rules of the Holy Thunder Clan. The last strike was the one that stopped him from going any further. This matter had come to an end. After all, it was impossible for him to really kill his way into the Lei Zheng family and kill everyone inside. Not only did the Lei Zheng family lose resources, but they also lost a lot of face. This was something that the Holy Thunder Clan could accept and tolerate. If he went overboard, the gains would not make up for the losses. After all, he was only a 9-star Holy Spirit. He could not fight against the entire Holy Thunder Clan. When he returned, Zichen's desire for power had reached its peak. If he had the power he had in the other world, who would dare to find trouble with him? Along the way, everyone looked at Zichen with admiration. There was only one person in the world who dared to take revenge like this. Looking at the huge crack, everyone finally understood the meaning of Zichen's words. From this point of view, that old bastard Lei Zhang was indeed not generous. If he had sent a few more half-step holy masters, it would only be a matter of a few more slashes. The old man looked at Zichen and said, "He knows when to yield and when to stand tall. He can fight and endure. Don't you think this person is scary?" Shun Hao nodded seriously. He did not expect that Yi Shiwen would leave just like that. "So, we have to take action. If we really let him break through, everything will be too late." The old man said, "Moreover, if I am not wrong, that saber should be the weapon of Gaduan King." Gaduan King? How is that possible? Asterisk 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 asterisk. The battle in Tianwu continent had reached the end stage. The people in the city were still fighting, but those outside the city were almost all dead. Without Zichen, The three main forces were all gathered outside the city. The devil race was very easy to find, and they could be easily killed. However, some of the spirit race members from the Holy Thunder clan had pretended to be part of the martial heaven continent because they couldn't beat them. This required additional investigation and some time, but for Giano, it was not a big problem at all. He controlled all of the ancient trees, so he knew all of the bamboo houses and streets very clearly. The investigation was also very fast. Furthermore, all of the tunnels had been closed. This included the teleportation tunnels. Little Fairy's Thunder Spirit World was also attacked, but it didn't matter. This was also because Liu Shangyaro had come in time. Otherwise, Lei Zhang would not have let the little elf go. Zi Chen and Liu Shangyaro left the Holy Thunder clan and arrived at the outskirts of the martial heaven continent. Han Enyu was still there. Zi Chen came to Cold Maiden's side. He knew that Cold Maiden was worried about him, which was why she didn't leave. This matter is over, so we'll be leaving. You've completely offended the Holy Thunder clan. You have to be careful in the future. Cold Maiden warned Zi Chen a few more times before leaving with Liu Shangyao. Zi Chen flew back to the Tianwu world. The laws of heaven and earth began to circulate, and the hole that the sacred sovereign had created began to heal. After returning, Zi Chen still didn't remove the defenses of the Zi Chen Palace. The cleansing process was not over yet. The once messy city was once again brand new. Everything was restored to its original state. Zi Chen returned to his residence. He needed to check his own situation. If he could really become a fiend in one go, that would be for the best. Zi Chen checked his body and found that his energy had changed. It had become a new kind of energy. Violet Soul. Chen Art. Lightning Energy. This was the magical art that the sacred sovereign Zi Chen had used back then. Now, he had perfectly inherited it. Perhaps one day, he would become the sacred sovereign Zi Chen. The chaos in the city should continue for a period of time. Zi Chen restrained his aura, left the room, and walked on the streets. There was basically no one along the way, because everyone had returned to their own residences. Soon, a strong wave of energy surged out from a bamboo house. The bamboo house shattered, and a sacred spirit rushed out. I risked my life for the Tianwu continent, but now that the battle is over, you actually want to kill me. Everyone in the city, pay attention. Zi Chen wants to kill all of you. Before the sacred spirit could finish his words, a ray of light came from the side and pierced into his chest. His surging life force was instantly extinguished. Zi Chen did not make a move. It was the ancient tree king, Giano. There was no commotion in the city. Everyone stayed in their own residences and did not walk on the streets. They knew what the ancient tree was doing. As time passed, the invaders were found one by one and killed one by one. After all the bamboo houses in the city had been checked, the entire Tianwu continent finally returned to its usual bustle. Zi Chen removed the protection of the Zi Chen Palace. Then, a series of war rewards appeared in the various cities. Those who performed well were rewarded with resources and treasures, or increased their current treatment. As for those who had lost their physical bodies for the Tianwu continent, all the resources needed to recover their bodies were paid by the various cities. Those who died in battle and did not have the chance to be resurrected were given compensation to their families. After the battle, all the people who participated in the battle received great benefits and rewards. Zi Chen used his actions to prove that fighting for the Tianwu continent was not only to protect his home, but also to not suffer any losses. The transmission array to the outside world was opened again, and people came in and out. Some people wanted to bring the news out, and naturally, there were people who wanted to bring the latest news in. When the news of the Lei Jing family spread to the Tianwu continent, it immediately caused an uproar. Zi Chen had actually destroyed so many of the Lei Jing family's businesses by himself. More importantly, he had killed Lei Jing Hongtian and a half-step holy venerate. This was undisguised revenge. Furthermore, it was a solid slap to the Lei Jing family's face. While everyone was shocked, they were also extremely proud. So what if the Lei Jing family had provoked the Tianwu continent? They had still been slapped in the face. Then there were the shops that had left when the situation was bad. Once the situation had stabilized, they had returned. They had returned not only to open their shops, but also to do some big business. For example, the devil bones of the dead devils could be used to refine weapons. The Tianwu continent had obtained a lot of devil bones this time. If they relied on themselves to refine them, it would take a long time. Of course, when they met with Jolena, they did not forget to prepare a gift as an apology. Jolena did not make things difficult for them. She happily accepted this generous gift. The compensation this time had used up too much of the Tianwu continent's resources. So she needed to quickly turn the spoils of war into new resources. Over the past few days, Jolena had been discussing the matter of the shares. Although she had nurtured many talents, such an important matter still required her to personally discuss it. A woman came to Zi Chen's room and knocked on Zi Chen's door. Then she gave Zi Chen a set of information. The people in the information were all existences that had once lived in the Tianwu continent. Although they had all been killed, their families still existed. Chapter 4767. Zi Chen took the list and looked at it carefully before leaving the Sky Marshal continent. The locations of the clans on the list were neither too far nor too close to him. With the spirit core by his side, he could go anywhere. Furthermore, those who dared to make peace with the Lei Jing family were definitely not small factions in remote areas. The first place Zi Chen went to was the Wang clan, where Wang Lan was from. In the Saint Spirit realm, the Wang clan was a big surname. There were many different clans, and even the Sacred Thunder tribe had the surname Wang. Zi Chen had never interacted with this clan before. He did not expect them to have nurtured a talent like Wang Lan. According to the information, Wang Lan suddenly attacked the people around him during a battle. He used some kind of treasure and killed 4 holy spirits. Zi Chen stood outside the Wang clan's gate. Under the surprised gazes of the crowd, he stomped his feet. All the Wang clan's residences began to shake. All the formations in the residences appeared and began to shake. As if an enemy had invaded, the Wang clan immediately fell into chaos. The curious crowd was also shocked. They all looked at Zi Chen, but when they saw his face, their expressions changed. In an instant, cries of alarm sounded everywhere. In the Saint Spirit domain, where there were humans, who did not recognize Zi Chen, the Wang clan's gate opened and people hurried out. They were originally angry, but when they saw Zi Chen, their expressions changed. One of the elders immediately cupped his fist and said, "We did not know that Lord Zi Chen would be coming. Please forgive us for not going out to meet you." Zi Chen waved his hand and said indifferently, "I am not here to reminisce with you. Furthermore, I do not have any old feelings with you. Wang Lan is one of your clansmen, right?" The elder turned around and looked at the people beside him. "Is there such a person in my clan?" The others were also stunned, as if they were trying hard to recall. Zi Chen laughed mockingly. "Think carefully. If you can't remember, you can forget about leaving this residence today. As for your race, this is where it ends." One of the men braced himself and said, "There seems to be such a person, but he has left the family for many years and hasn't returned. May I know why Sir is here today?" Zi Chen said, "After that old bastard Lei Zheng attacked my world, the Tianwu world became chaotic. Many people sensed the danger and left, but a portion of them were willing to stay and fight. That Wang Lan was one of them, but he did not fight for the Tianwu continent, but for the Lei Zheng family. He suddenly attacked and killed several holy spirits of the Tianwu continent." Zi Chen's words were too shocking, causing an uproar behind him. Lei Zheng was a holy venerate, yet Zi Chen actually called him an old bastard in front of so many people. Of course, the other contents were also shocking. That Wang Lan had joined the Lei Zheng family and attacked the Martial Heaven continent. If they succeeded, they would definitely be able to get in touch with the Lei Zheng family. If not, they would offend the Tianwu continent. It was no surprise that Zi Chen had come looking for him. "Sir, we really didn't know about this matter. This was all Wang Lan's idea. He has already left the family for many years and has never contacted us. But sir, don't worry. If he returns, we will definitely capture him and hand him over to you personally." That old man, who was clearly the head of the family, said in horror, "This matter has nothing to do with the family. Even if we ate a bear's heart and leopard's gall, we wouldn't dare become enemies with Sir. Zi Chen indifferently said, "My time is limited, and I can't be bothered to argue with you. That old bastard didn't care about the rules, so why should I, Zi Chen, follow the rules? Arguing? You don't have the energy, nor do you have the leisure. It's all because of my benevolence." Zi Chen's eyes were cold as ice as he said, "Because if I really waste time and find evidence, your entire clan will be killed. If Wang Lan is really still alive, do you still dare to stand in front of me and put on airs?" Everyone's expression changed again. Zi Chen wasn't just saying these words for fun. He had the strength to back it up. "Calculate the population of your clan and see how much these people are worth. Then, convert them into resources and give them to me." Zi Chen said, "I don't care what relationship you have with the Lei Zheng family, and I don't want to pursue it. In any case, my enemies will all die in the end. You can think of my arrival as giving you a chance to buy your lives. Of course, the prerequisite is that you have enough sincerity. After all, I have compensated the holy spirits that were killed by Wang Lan several times over." Then, Zi Chen smiled. "Now, you should know why Wang Lan didn't survive, right? Sir, why don't you come in and wait for a moment? It will take some time to gather the resources." The old man only hesitated for a moment before speaking decisively. "I'll wait here because I'm worried that I'll accidentally tear down your mansion after I go in." "Sir, please wait for a moment." The old man called for everyone to return immediately, and then passed down new orders one by one. Zi Chen turned around and saw that many people had taken out their crystal balls and recorded the scene from before. Zi Chen smiled and said, "Everyone, you all saw it. I'm here to settle the score." No one in the crowd dared to answer. After all, Zi Chen's reputation wasn't built in a day or two. If the previous lord didn't deal with it properly, the entire Wang family would have disappeared. Zi Chen continued, "Look at these people. Do they have nothing better to do? They didn't want to fight against the gods and demons when they invaded. Instead, they wanted to destroy my world while I was in the other world. Could it be that compared to those invading gods and devils, I and my world are even more evil? So, do you think I should settle the score with these people? Yes, you should. That's right. These people are too despicable. Sir is mighty." Someone in the crowd shouted loudly. "Sir Zi Chen is mighty." Even more people shouted. This was from the bottom of their hearts. Everyone could see Zi Chen's actions in the matter of the gods and demons. The first battle back then was precisely because Zi Chen had led the troops into battle. It could be said that without Zi Chen, this world would have fallen a long time ago. And this time, when the gods and demons invaded again, those major factions were still silent. Even the Holy Thunder Clan directly abandoned Zi Chen in order to avoid a war with the demons. In this matter, all the Ling race in the world stood on Zi Chen's side. This was understandable. Zi Chen was now settling the score, so it was only natural that he would do so. "I'll have to trouble everyone to help me spread the word. Next, I hope that all the clans that I visit will have some self-awareness and prepare compensation as soon as possible. Otherwise, I really won't be polite. After all, I've always had a bad temper when dealing with my enemies. Furthermore, I'm not a reasonable person all the time. When dealing with my enemies, I rarely reason with them." Just like that, Zi Chen began to collect debts.